Cool. All right. Welcome to Digital Creativity with Stephen Burns. This is the Lightwave Roundtable discussion and just tips and tricks and sharing. This is kind of like a little impromptu thing. Is whoever wants to share something, they can come on to Adobe Connect and share whatever they like. So for those of you who've never done this before, right now you're looking at my screen where it says stop sharing. If I stop sharing and I have somebody else share, for example, let's just do a little test. So Oliver, I'm gonna let you share after me. So I'm gonna say, Oliver, you go ahead and share. I'm gonna stop sharing, and then Oliver is going to share his screen. Good. So here's his screen coming on, and then now we're seeing Oliver's screen. So then I'm going to maximize this so everybody can see only Oliver's screen and none of my other Adobe Connect stuff all around it. So if I say, okay, Oliver's done, he's going to stop sharing. Yeah, look for the stop sharing button. And then I'm going to share my screen back again. So now, Kat, we're going to do the same thing for you. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And then you're going to start sharing your screen. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. All right. And then I'm going to go
share my screen. Now it's going to ask you to load in the Adobe Connect plugin. Do so. Just say yes.
Okay. Hold on.
Did we stump Cat? Not the cat.
Okay. Well, forgive me. I just missed part of that because I was looking at another window. Where's the actual share screen option? Because I have a full screen option.
Oh, yep. You have to be in Adobe Connect. The actual.
Oh, there we go. I actually used the button. I didn't realize I was actually looking at my.
Right. There you are. So you're coming on. And now it may be asking you to agree to load plugin. So do that.
No, it's asking me for which monitor I want to do.
That's right. Well, you got to select the monitor that you want everybody to view. Right.
I can't tell by the icons.
Well, it'll tell you down. There's a little window, I think, down when you select. Well, what window do you have Lightwave on?
Well, the thing is I don't have it open right now. This whole thing.
Just click any window for now, just for a test. Yeah, click any window now, just for a test.
It's my second monitor that it wants. Okay. Or is it my first monitor? No, it's my first monitor. There we go. Sure, bang.
All right, there we go. There we go.
Now, you see that?
That's it. See it perfectly. So now we're seeing Kat sharing his. Then when he gets done sharing. So the idea is that everybody, we're going to do this like a tips and tricks session. So we want to keep this like the tips and tricks sharing something under no more than 10 minutes or so, 15 at the most. For each person, so everybody gets a chance to share. There you go. Okay, good. So now we're seeing Lightwave on Kat's monitor.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna look at. Let me bring down Adobe Connect here again. I want to take a look and see if anybody else is joining. So if anybody else wants to join on, I'm going to drop in the address down here in Twitch right here in the chat box. experts.adobeconnect.com. LightWave3D. So there it is. So if anybody says, no, I got a Lightwave tip, I might want to jump in on this, and come on and get on now so we can get you set up. So keep in mind that those who are watching, that right up here in your Adobe Connect window, when you get into Connect, it may ask you to load on the plugin. So just go ahead and say yes, load everything on. It'll bring you into Connect, and then it's going to use your microphone. So go to your microphone symbol. It may be grayed out by default. If I drop it down here, go over here to select microphone. My microphone is my Yeti, which is a hands-free. It's a professional microphone. Once it's on, click on the microphone itself so it becomes green, and then you'll see your voice signals coming off to the right, which is registering my voice coming through. All right. So Cam 3D, welcome. Cam, if you want to jump in and share something in Lightwave as well, there he is. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm going to make you a presenter. All right, so you're on as a presenter. So currently we have a total of 5 Lightwave artists here. Professional Lightwave artists. These are industry guys. Who's going to be wanting to share with you, who's joyful to share with you, take their Sunday morning and share with you their knowledge and wisdom and all that stuff. And they're all great guys, or ladies. You know what? You don't have any ladies in here. Any lady, no female lightwave artists? Jump on in here. Okay, so guys, do me a favor. Go on and share. Anybody who's on Twitch right now, and I believe there's a number of us. Go on and share this Twitch link, the twitch.tv/ChromIllusion, and share it to your social media and say, hey, we're doing this cool little, digital art stream with Lightwave and Photoshop. Come on and jump on and join us and all that stuff, okay? So, some gear, I guess is how it's pronounced. Welcome. And then GH Guy 5081, welcome. Great to have you here. Let's see who else has jumped in here that I didn't see before. I think I've got everybody. Nightbot is in there too. Okay, very cool. All right, so let's see, Cresthead. I think that's pronounced. Hello, Steve. Welcome.
How's the Bally Cat?
Yes. Okay, so let's see. I've got Cam 3D in there. Hey Cam, say something so I know you're there.
Hello.
Yep, perfect. So do me a big favor that I can hear you great. Do me a favor and just turn up your microphone volume a little bit, like before. Go to your drop list for your microphone, adjust microphone volume, bring it up a little bit, so Adobe Connect brings you in cleanly. So far, everybody's coming through fine. So Cat's kind of like playing around the Lightwave while I'm getting everybody set up here. All right, so we got Carm 3D, we got LightWave3D, that's Killy Cat Myers, we've got Oliver, who writes some fabulous plugins for Lightwave. We got Phantom Shadow, who's you say the director for Phantom Shadow?
Thinkers of the Shadow Show, yeah. Mark is here in Las Vegas with me.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we do.
I'm the director and producer of the film.
Excellent.
And a Lightwave enthusiast.
Well, thank you for being here, man. This is great to have you. This is exciting.
Fun times.
Oh yeah. Okay, so 3 Atomists here. Hi, Crest. Okay, so so again, if anybody wants to share something, jump on. Okay, so Daphne Freeman is here. He's jumping in on Adobe Connect here. I'm gonna give you presenter rights now. Okay.
Oh, Carmen's here.
What was that?
Carmen 3D is here.
Yeah, Carmen 3D is here.
I am.
Yay! It's like the Muppet Show. I really have to. I need to find where's Cow. I have a cool little Folktales hand puppet called Cow. There's a little story behind him. He's awesome.
Why do you think Muppets when you think me?
Well, just because everybody needs to be a Muppet Show character. Come on. Like everybody's got like their little South Park icons. I'm like, which Muppet Show character are you?
Where are you making these connections?
Because I'm a Muppet. I literally, I'm like a walking, talking Jim Henson character. That kind of was probably rejected from a casting call, and I had to make my own way. It's kind of like what happened to the band from the Muppet Show, and they had to put Animal down due to an incident after he bit somebody on stage. It's a sad time.
or maybe you need new friends.
Insinuation. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? I'm sorry.
Oh no, we got music too. This is going to be interesting.
Is that from Avenue Q?
Yep. You know what?
Oh,
Virgin Pie should be in here too, along with Deuce. Hopefully Deuce will be joining in here. That'll be great. All right. You know what? I thought now Oliver and I were thinking about kind of kicking things off with the neat little a short little tip and trick in terms of Adobe has championed 3D, and it's championed 3D in a couple ways. So Kelly, if you would stop sharing your screen, please.
Yep.
And I'll
2 seconds.
Yes, yeah. Just go for it.
I need
just
to
find your Adobe Connect.
Renegotiate my desktop here. Okay, what's the deal with this?
Okay, go to your
No, hold on. Bonk. There we go. Stop sharing.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So we had this idea. We figured we'd kind of kick things off and then just let it go from there. Let me close out Photoshop for now. I'm not going to need it for right now.
Yeah, get rid of that.
And let's get rid of that too. Get rid of that. All right. So we figured we'd kick things off with something kind of fun and kind of simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Adobe Fuse, because Adobe has championed 3D, and we can actually bring in these 3D animated characters into Lightwave. So I think somebody's talking. Somebody had a comment they wanted to make. No,
That was very quiet.
that was very quiet. Yes.
Because that's going to tie into that.
All right. Okay. So here we go. Let me go over here back to Fuse. So I've been impressed with Fuse. Now remember, in the past, a lot of people have been using Poser to make 3D characters. But the problem with Poser is that for some reason they have not really been upgrading their algorithm to include a whole series of motion capture. And then if you do apply motion capture to Poser models, they don't look real. The body doesn't morph right. It's not this fluid motion that makes it like a boxer's boxing. It doesn't look real with a Poser character. But Adobe has introduced Fuse, which looks real. It's pretty darn good. So all right, here we go. So we're inside the Fuse, the Adobe Fuse interface. I'm going to start building a character. So you don't build anything from scratch. Everything's pre-done for you, just like you do in Poser, or DAZ. DAZ is the same concept. And I know that a lot of artists. I know that Kelly Cat Myers likes DAZ quite a bit as well. So I'm going to use the male scan number 2. All right, we're going to double click, and we're going to get the head of our male character. Immediately it jumps into the I want to get the body. I want to go. That's fun. so we're going to hit the male scan and go ahead and put the body for that one on. Let's go to the male scan for the leg number 2 for the legs. Put the legs on. And after we put the legs on, I think we did that. There we go. Now we have our full character. I can click outside and move this around, view my character, and what we're going to do is I'm going to clothe them next. But what we're going to do is we're going to animate this character utilizing an online program called Mixamo. So there's my character. Okay, I want some clothes on him, right? So let's see. Let's just click the torso and bring that on up. Let's go over to the side here. Legs, head. Alright, let's go to my clothing room. So I've got my assemble, my customize. I can go in here and make the pecs bigger, the arms thicker. I mean, just like you can in Poser. And of course your sliders are here. I'm not going to do that now. I just want to do a kind of like a tips and tricks here. So I'm going to go to my clothing room here. And here's my clothing. So let's go ahead and put a shirt on this guy. After we're done with the tops, let's go to the bottoms, and let's go something like this. Let's go to the knee pads for the bottoms. Let's go to the shoes. Let's go give him some military style shoes, something probably like that.
Tactical boots.
Yeah, the boots. Let's go. I'm not going to worry about hair. I kind of like it. I'm going to keep it where it is. I'm going to go to the hats. And let's see, how about if we get something cool looking? Let's see what we've got down here.
Give him an operator's helmet.
Like an operator's helmet?
Yeah, right there. Ops Core Premier or Ops Core Helmet 8.
Ops Core Helmet 8, got it. That was the first one I was gonna do. Then I saw this one down here. Eyewear. Let's give him some cool eyewear. How about this one right here? Goggles number 8. That's fun. All right, there's our character. So.
Yeah,
So here's the fun part. We're gonna go take it into like this online system that has, let me put it this way, a shitload of animation or animation. So we're gonna animate this character. Okay. So he has a whole. What was that?
I can't see him.
You can't see him?
Oh, he's camouflaged. Never mind.
Oh, great. Oh, man. This is what I have to deal with, huh? Okay.
Does Adobe own Mixamo now?
Well, Adobe has purchased both Fuse and Mixamo.
Oh, so they're gonna work well together.
That's
They should
right.
be seamless.
So we've got our character, and I could save him out as an OBJ as he is, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go send the Mixamo, right? Hit there. Let's call this one. What should we call this guy? Help me out, guys. You're supposed to be interacting here.
Combat Waver.
Combat, okay. Combat Waver? Combat guy. Let's confuse everybody. Let's see. Save it. Sit back and relax. We're going to let it kind of send it off to the internet. And Mixamo has a shitload of motion capture data. And it's going to bring it on in there. It's going to give you a little sample animation. It's going to look really good. And we can bring this in, and the idea is to take this and bring it in as an FBX or a Collada file. If we're bringing it into Photoshop, we need to use Collada. If you bring it into LightWave, we need to use, okay, so it's brought it over into Firefox as my default system. I'm going to bring Firefox over to here so you can see it's loading in. Let's maximize it. So it's bringing it into an auto rigger. And it's going to be after I rig it with the motion capture data. It's not rigging, it's rigging with the bones are already done. They're rigged. But when we attach the motion capture data to the skeleton, then I can save that out as an FBX, because as most of us already know, and that FBX is a format, or those who don't know, FBX is a format for 3D objects that includes motion capture information or animation. So there's my guy. So he's inside this rigger. He's inside a 3D environment, so I can move this around and see him from all view. This is all done online, and it's fast. It's really fast. Someone say, okay, I want more animations. I don't just want, this is just a nice little sample. I like the way it looks and feels. All right, so I'm gonna go to finish. Proceed with this character. Yes, use this character. And then we're going to animate the character. It's going to say, what do you want? You want to download it as a FBX, FBX for Maya or Max, Collada, or for FBX for Moto. No, we're going to animate for now. All right, there we go. There's I got, and look at the animations. Now I've got how many? I got 48 per page. I can go 96 per page, and if I go down to the bottom, I've got another way over 26 options of pages here. So I've got all this animation.
2,500.
It's 2,500 total. All right,
Roughly.
so let's find something. Let's
You
find
can use this to build digital extras.
that exactly. Exactly. I mean, I'm talking about a way to revolutionize your workflow as an animator. No, and that you can, like you said, bring all little extras this way on in there. Here's the boxing. Here's the boxing guy.
If I may ask a question,
Yeah.
you make a couple of these
Yep.
and load it up into LightWave, use instancing, and now you've got a complete crowd scene.
Oh yeah, I like the way you think. Maybe you want to. You know what?
Workflow. I mean, I'm a small budget film. I don't have a lot of money to build a crowd scene. But if I need a bunch of guys who are not going to be in front of camera and I want to fill out an area,
Yeah.
I get a bunch of these guys, put them into scale, get all these animations, instance the crap out of them in LightWave. Now I got a filled out scene.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of scenes like this, Mark, in Curse the Phantom Shadow that's at Paragon Park, and also in the Hollywood scene with the robot marching through. So we need some extra stuff going on to fill it in, and this is a beautiful way to get access to that. And if we need particular characters that are going to do something kind of unique from others, then we've obviously got the motion capture suits to do that with. And I'm still considering whether or not we'll do Agent 236 with the robot, partially as motion capture to fill in some of the blanks, because obviously you didn't have a 30-foot tall robot to work with, so that's kind of the better choice there. But this is perfect for background characters, and I'm sure a client/friend of mine out east would have loved to have had this.
Yeah, as you can
in their
see,
view last fall, because they needed exactly this.
yeah, as you can see, it's just fast. I can click on it and it immediately applies it very quickly, and I can move around. I mean, navigating around your object while the motion capture is being applied is just really quick. It's I can zoom in close, get in close to him, and then See more details. I mean, this is wonderful. It's wonderful.
So let me ask you this, Stefan. What's the cost of this? Is this part of the Creative Cloud
It's
subscription
part
fee? Or is
right,
it
right now. Right now, it's free. It's part of the Creative Cloud suite. It's part of the Creative Cloud. It's free, and this right now it's all in beta. So anybody, the whole public can get it right now. Just look for this. I tell you what. Let's see, Adobe Fuse, because you can't get it. It's once you download it, it's going to be inside your Creative Cloud installer, which is your apps. Here's my Creative Cloud installer. Right down here, you'll see Fuse right there. Okay, all right. So, but to get it, Adobe Fuse. I'm just doing a general search. 3D models, official site, free membership. Yeah, I think that's it. That's official site. That's Adobe. Okay, Adobe Fuse. I think just go to adobe.com and Fuse will be there. I thought it was just easier for me to search it this way. So Fuse. All right, it's probably in Adobe. So let me go to adobe.com. Because I remember it still being in beta. So right now it's still free. So if we go to adobe.com, creativity and design, view all plans and pricing, I tell you what, yeah.
Strangely enough, this product has been around for several years now. It was released in the fall of 2015.
Yeah.
And it's a recreation of something else, actually.
Yeah, so if you guys are a student or instructor or work at an institution, get the student and teachers pricing. It's like for all the apps, everything that Adobe owns is $19.99 a month. If you work at a school or are a teacher or are a student. So schools and universities, and then list them right. Now that's for schools who want to do a site license, multiple computers. But for teachers and students, go here. I'm one of Adobe's educational leaders, so I get supported with it. But my presentations that I share with you guys helps expand the knowledge of the product. So yeah, go in. We're in Mixable now. Let's not get too sidetracked here. So let's apply something. I can go to another menu. Let's go to another menu and see what we've got over here. Here's a guy running. I like this one right here. Sounds like a Spider-Man. Apply it. Oh, what happened? What happened? It stopped animating. Let's double click it. Maybe I'll need to refresh the page. There she is. Alright. Okay, so let's apply it. There we go. Alright. And zoom back a little bit. So you got your little navigational tools. You're zooming, you're panning. You have to use them. I don't think there's any particular shortcuts for these here. Hit the magnifying glass for zoom. Drag into me. Now I can kind of view it from this particular view. So let's go ahead and download this character. Oh, just so that you're aware of this, I can manipulate this. Let's kind of pull this over to the side. Pull it back a little bit more. There we go. So I can see what's going on. I can manipulate. Look, you have to select overdrive, character arm space, right? So I want the arms to go way outside the body. It recalculates, right? If I want the arms closer inside the body, it's kind of recalculating how the rig is reacting to the geometry. Overdrive, let's see, let's go a little overdrive. It goes faster. If I want to slow the animation down. Okay, so
like the character arm space function is really just to help you with removing penetrations from. The motion capture obviously is done on a person with certain proportions, and when you apply it to a character with different proportions and that sort of thing, you're going to get the collisions, the penetrations with geometry.
Right.
This is
another quick question about Fuse.
Yeah.
Does it allow you to put in custom textures for the clothing?
Yep, absolutely.
cool.
They asked us, like, gosh, it's digital stunt doubles.
Yeah, and so basically, I should probably do kind of a whole presentation for a Lightwave user group meeting. For maybe next month, just on Fuse and Lightwave and everything you can do. I think I can do a more extensive presentation that way. But for now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Go to overdrive, take it down a little bit, so I have a little bit. So it's extending the animation timeline. So I'm gonna hit.
What is the default frames per second? Is this like 30,
It's
30 or 24 or is
30,
it 60?
It's 30 frames a second for Mixamo. If I click download, here we go. So, FBX is the format. Now and I've got FBX for Unity or FBX or Collada. Now, if you're going to you want to see this animation inside of Photoshop, you need the Collada format. For LightWave, we want the FBX format, and we look at the skin. Leave the skin. Leave it alone.
You might want to like we'll have to test this, but it seems to me that LightWave for Unity or FBX for Unity might be a better option for LightWave users, but that's something.
So is that all over there?
Works fine. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So here's your frames.
Scaling, because I know that scale for LightWave and Unity are exactly the same.
All right. So here's your frames per second. You can change it, Cat. Remember you talking about what frame? 24, 60, 30.
Okay.
It gives you that option.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's real sweet.
Least amount of keyframes is best.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. We got more people that just came in. David P. Clark, welcome to Digital Creativity with Crimelusion. Stephen Burns, aka Crimelusion. We're doing a great little LightWave roundtable or LightWave integration roundtable discussion here with a variety of different artists. And then we've got Essence. Welcome to Digital Creativity with Stephen Burns. John Marchant is here. Hey man, how you doing? Welcome.
Hi John.
Hey John. And then Lupus Lux. Welcome. So just to refresh everybody's memory here. You're hearing everybody online because they're coming through Adobe Connect. If you guys out there, LightWave artists out there, want to share something, come on board to Adobe Connect, and we can see your screen and hear you talk, and we'll share your technique. So I'm going to actually put the link to join in right down here in the chat box now. Okay, there you go. All right. So if you want to join on, click that link, and I'll bring you on as a presenter so that you have microphone rights and all that stuff. All right, so let's go back into here, download it, and I'm going to save the file.
Keyframe reduction options there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you want to do that.
No, just keep it intact. Keep it simple.
The main thing is because if you have foot contacts and it gets the wrong, if we do the wrong area, then you have sliding.
All right.
Well, that can be dealt with afterwards anyway. So.
All right.
But yeah, I could just give her.
All right, so click OK. All right, so I'm going to tell it to save somewhere. Desktop FPS export. That's the flying knee punch combo, and I'm gonna save it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into the Adobe Connect files box. So right down here in the bottom left, near the bottom left, you have a files too. I'm going to put that in that box for you guys to play with. So I'm going to place it in here. And then what Oliver is going to do is he's going to take that file and show you what happens in LightWave. Let me make sure it's completely downloaded. I think it is. We got it through here. So it's my downloads option. I'm pretty confident it's downloaded. Let me come over here. I have a pretty quick connection. So let's go over to Adobe Connect. I'm going to come right down here and I'm going to go upload the file. So upload the file, go to browse my system, go to my desktop, and we've got FBX export. Click it. Flying knee punch combo is there, 12 megabytes. Double click it. Oh, just click it, click open. And it's uploading now. It's about almost 50% done. And everybody in the Adobe Connect window on this Adobe Connect connection will have access to this file. There you go, converting. There it is. There's your FBX. So you just click on the file and download the file if anybody want to play with that now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna kind of stop here, and we'll do like a whole presentation and a meeting and another meeting later. Just on everything you can do in Fuse, and then bring it into LightWave or Photoshop. In fact, I think what we'll do is I'll do a presentation on both Photoshop and LightWave and how you can bring in animations to play on their timelines. So I'm gonna, Oliver, I'm gonna stop sharing, and then I'm gonna let you take it away here.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, so Cresthead, yeah, Mixamo is a lot of fun. I agree with you. And Cyber, there's a bunch of questions here that I want to answer. Let me go ahead and maximize this so everybody can just see Oliver's screen. There we go.
Yeah, let's go to those questions first, because
yeah, they definitely want to get the questions. So here's the deal: when you guys are presenting, and this is a mistake I just made, and sorry for everybody online, I got a little carried away. I'm normally pretty good about this. Look at your questions in your Twitch chat box and interact with everybody here. So let's see. So far, I'm going down through. You can rent for a month. Okay, this is just common chatter. And I don't look like we really have any questions. Can you download any and all FBX for free? Yes, you can. So Threative had asked, can you download any and all FBXs for free? That I'm assuming you mean through Fuse or through Mixamo. Yes, that's all free. And if you find an FBX file from another company that's free, I assume it will work, but I'm not sure. You have to experiment with that one. So Elamod is asking, is Mixamo web based? Yes, it is. It's all web based. So there's no third party program you need to install on your system. Okay, so John Merchant has a comment. Hi all, Fuse. Yeah, I have it and have not touched it. This is very interesting. Excellent thing. I'm glad this is going to be helpful for you, John. Let's see. Anybody else I kind of missed here? It looks like most of it's just common chatter. Chris had made a comment about pipeline production. You use apps to get results in LightWave. That's exactly correct. Or any 3D program for that matter. So, all right. So it looks like, okay. I see. You need to do more. What's CA? To do more CA to get into Fuse and Mixamo.
I'm assuming character animation.
What was that?
Character animation.
I got character animation. Oh yeah, we all do. Character animation is a whole art. There's a whole art in itself. It's a specialized art form. So all right, so Oliver, take it away and share. But I think everybody's going to find this interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's basically a couple people on recent streams have asked if we could walk them through like how to do a shot and something like that. So I actually, this is kind of the finished result that I've been playing a couple times over, and all I really did was I went with my cell phone and I shot a simple plate, which is just something like that, and it comes around as an MPEG-4. And so the first step kind of that I always look at when I get a shot, because it might come in all kinds of different formats, is I don't work with movie files. I basically convert them into frame sequences. And there's a variety of ways on how you can do that, but one of the ways I'm going to show is a nice free way using FFmpeg. It's a command line utility. There are some GUI things for it, but it's really easy to use in command line as well, because all you really have to do is FFmpeg. You specify the input file, which would be this, and then you put a little command that basically says that's the highest compression JPEG, and we're going to save that in. Let's see, we're going to save that in. Actually, let me just step and go to my desktop. And so we're going to make a folder here. Create. Oops. So now FFmpeg, and then the -I is for the input file. We'll drag that in there. Then we do the highest compression, and that's just something that It's something that you can look up on Google, but once you know, that's really all you ever need to remember. And then we're gonna save that in as, let's call it output, and the we want to have 5 digits, so we do %0 5d.jpg, for example. And once you do that, it runs the whole thing, and it's already done. So it's taken this entire sequence and made an image sequence out of it. And it's nice and quick. It's probably one of the fastest ways on how you can do this. Of course, you could just open it up in QuickTime, export frame sequences, but you might not have QuickTime installed, and a whole bunch of different things. This, for me, is my preferred way. Once I have that, I can then take it into a tracking software, and I use my software of choice is Synthesize. And I'm just going to load the sequence, and the reason for that is it's incredible versatile, it's very, very fast, and it works together with any sort of application, whether it's LightWave, Maya, Modo, whatever it is, it'll just work with anything.
Yeah, the great part about it is it'll support directly to a LightWave scene, although it supports the LightWave 6 format, so you gotta do a couple of things there.
And it creates objects as well that you can use in LightWave. But the nice thing is, once you're in here, it's very quick. Well, I don't know if it comes across that quick on the screen, but you can just literally scrub as much as you want. While this is a massive program, I'm only going to go through the basics. Fortunately, this is a fairly basic shot to go through it. But, there's something called the auto tracker here, you can run. And it's basically already done that. So it's at this point in time, it hasn't solved for a camera, it's just found features for you. Some of them are good, some of them are not so great. You can see there's some scissors back there, so this is probably a reflection point, so I just circle that and hit the delete button to delete some of these things. Also, you can see some of the flickering that happens here as I'm moving across. So I usually, those are short-lived type things, I just get rid of those. Anything that's sort of like suspicious in terms of this could be tracking reflections or things like that, you just kind of get rid of. And then you can just do a solve. And you can see how quickly it's already done, how quickly it's done this. And even by just looking at, you can kind of see like there's probably a keyboard here, all these markers here, but it's in all kinds of weird orientations. So the first thing I typically do is I define a coordinate system, and that's very easy by just clicking on coordinates here, and then clicking this dot 3, which is clicking coordinate, an origin, axis, and some plane alignments. So in this particular case, I'll just choose my origin here, the second point, and the third point, and it'll ask you, do you want to apply that to a coordinate system? And as soon as you do that, you can now see that it's sort of put, the camera was obviously looking down, and this is our front. It's kind of in the right orientation, but there is all of these points that, you can see it's still sort of slanted. It's higher on the left side than it is on the right side. So there's quick things that you can do by just selecting the points that you know are on the ground. Take some of these back here. And these are on the ground. Here. And in the coordinate system, there's a place where you can say what these points are, and we're essentially going to say they're on any floor plane. Once we've done that, we can go back to the solver and just, and you can now see that those are actually constrained on the floor. You can see the angle of the keyboard from the side. That kind of looks all correct. And again, in terms of what the camera is doing, it's pretty much what I did when I was hand holding my cell phone. The one thing that we don't have in here yet is scale. So fortunately the keyboard is something that you can easily measure, and if I just select this marker or this tracker, and I alt-click onto this tracker, you can now see that there's a line here, so that's a distance constraint. And in here it says 0, and I know that's about 38 centimeters, so 0.38. And do a solve again. So now we actually have, you can see everything is much smaller, so you can do zoom to fill. Oops. You see here, you can just hit the mouse button to zoom in, the mouse button to zoom. And so now this is actually in the pretty much, you know, correct scale. The orientation is kind of wacky. You know, we'd like to have the keyboard kind of aligned to this way. So the way we can do this, we can go to the 3D world space, or the 3D space here, and click the rotate. Make sure we're on whole so that you're selecting everything. Otherwise, if you're not on whole, it will only change what you have selected. So we click whole here, and let's just sort of rearrange it. Move it out a little bit. It's kind of in the center, so we want to move it back to the center. Back here. And that's fairly good for now. Now, one thing that you can do, you can select these markers, and this is extremely handy. Select these two as well. Just two more here. Just shift select on them. And if you go to the quad perspective, you can now actually create a mesh out of those. And the way to do that is you just go to mesh, you set an edit mesh, you convert the markers to a mesh, and then triangulate. And if we go back to quad view here, you can now see that we have some sort of representation of a mesh. Obviously that's not the keyboard, but it'll help us. You can see already in the left side view, you get the angle of the keyboard that way. And we can also look at the error margin, which is actually quite high. There's probably a lot of trackers that could be removed, and the way to do that is clean up trackers. And you can see there's about 4 trackers here that we could have fixed. I'm not going to do that now, but you should really do that before you align all the coordinate systems and before you reposition it. But this is going to be good enough for what we're trying to do. And to get into LightWave, you simply export. You can see there's so many export formats here. It pretty much exports to anything known to man, probably. Let me find LightWave here, LightWave3D, and we're going to do that to the desktop. Export.
Well, I just noticed they had a LightWave old and a LightWave. Is that because Andrew's updated for 2018, or what's the score there?
I don't believe it's 2018 ready yet.
Okay.
I don't quite remember what the differences are, but you know, I typically just use the default.
It's probably pre-6 then.
It's probably the old one is 6, and yeah, everything else is pre-2018.
Right. Okay.
So once you have that exported, the other thing before we go into LightWave, one of the things that I did when I shot this, and I typically do this no matter what you end up doing, is I have a Ricoh 360 camera, which is this. It's a little small camera. It's very inexpensive. That, you know, shoots 360 images, and I kind of, let me see where the brackets are here. There we go. So I shot a couple of these, and the nice thing is, you know, you can do it remotely, so you're not moving the camera as you're doing it, so the images all line up perfectly. A couple of different exposures.
You're also not in the shot.
What was that, Kat?
And you're also not in the shot, like you can zap it from the other side of the...
Not in the shot, yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, you could do this the old-fashioned way, is where we used a mirror ball to do this and a very long lens, but this is so easy, and for me being on set a lot, you know, the thing that is requested the most is get away from the set as quickly as possible. So they're more than happy to let you on the set to take images, but they want you to be out of it as quickly as possible. And this is one way of doing it. You can also, with the camera, shoot video, which is great reference, because again, you know what's going on every day, every scenario throughout the shot. But you know, this is one good way, and if people haven't merged these together into HDR, I can show how to do that in Photoshop, where you just go to Automate, Merge to HDR,
This is great that you're showing this, because a lot of people don't understand that a simple JPEG is not an HDR.
Yeah, you really don't want to use the JPEGs as is. You know, you do want to combine all these different exposures to an HDR image. Yep. And it's really, the steps are so simple that there's no excuse not doing it. Just select all, you hit OK. Photoshop does its thing. And actually loads all these different HDRs, or all these different JPEGs. And if anybody has questions along the way, go ahead and type them in so that, you know, Steve can interrupt me at any point in time and ask him. So it's almost finished. So you can see kind of like what kind of exposures they were taking. You know, typically you want to take more than 7. I usually do 9 to 13. But, you know, for this, it's a quick and easy way to show it. And we can click OK. And once you have that, you have your HDR that's basically assembled, and you can save that out. So we can save that out as an HDR.
Just to interrupt, just the reason why people want to do this is that Lightwave is a 96-bit render engine for color, and then of course the 32 bits for alpha channel. But the reason for this is that it will expose properly for the radiosity or even just a background image with the environment light in now in 2018, and you're not fighting the actual latitude limits in just a straight JPEG, which is only an 8-bit image, so it's only 8-bit per pixel for color. So you're actually getting the full latitude of effectively what, you know, it emulates film here in order to expose things properly in those uses.
Yeah, you want the full range of whatever was available likewise in your scene.
Correct.
So just real quick, if people don't have Photoshop, and you know, a lot of people have been using Affinity, I'll show it real quick how to do it in Affinity, because it's just as easy. Where you go new HDR image, you take those brackets, and you don't want to tone map the image. That's if you want to do, or if you're doing photography and you want, you know, an equal distribution of light. So don't do tone map image. And then it does essentially the same thing as Photoshop. I think it actually does it a little bit faster. And again, it's just for people that don't have access to Photoshop but have invested into Infinity Photo.
How much is your Ricoh camera?
The Ricoh camera, to be honest, I don't quite remember. I think it used to be around $300. I don't know if it's still that. I also know that they have a newer camera, but the Ricoh is just one of them. There's so many. The biggest thing is it's one click of a button.
Yeah,
you know, so
it's a point and shoot. There's no screwing around with it.
An 180-degree lens, you can, you know, turn the camera around, shoot the other direction. So there's many ways to do it, but I have to. Well, plus also the Ricoh camera is less expensive than the 180-degree lens, so there's just many benefits for that. But now here is the same thing, and let's export that.
So Cold Black has said made a comment about who's talking. So this is Oliver Holtz. Yeah. I think 3Adif just answered that too.
So again, I can save out the HDR. It's the same thing as Photoshop. And once we have that, we're actually finally ready to go to Lightwave. And you know, I can load the scene that was initially exported. And yeah, you can see it is a 2015 scene or pre-2018 scene. Otherwise, it wouldn't ask you to convert this. I actually always click no. I don't want to create a save copy. And here we now have, you can see it brought the object, the temporary object that we had brought in. And you know, everything is nicely tracked and aligned. If you were doing this for real on a real shot, you would actually want to undistort and redistort the plates, but that's something that's a little bit more complex. And we could do a whole hangout or a whole stream just based on that.
That's an entire process in its own.
Yeah, it's an entire process, and to be honest, for this particular shot, it's really not needed. But specifically, if you have wide-angle lenses that you're shooting with, you absolutely want to distort and undistort. Otherwise, you get sliding on the edges of the frame. the center will typically always be good. And then, once you have it in here, if you look at the scene editor, you get basically a whole bunch of nulls and stuff. So if you want to clean that up, we just make a tracker null. And what I typically do is I just drag everything, make sure your parent in place is off. We go to frame 0 here, even though it doesn't really matter. But select all these nulls and parent them to the to that, and also parent the camera to that same null, because they all live in the same space. So now at least we have something that is much easier to look at.
You might want to share a little bit of what the scene editor is for those of us here who are new to LightWave. So
the scene editor, it's a huge discussion always, because there is the old scene editor and there is the new scene editor, and both of them in my eyes have pros and cons. It just really depends what you favor. Here in the old scene editor, you can't really adjust specific parameters, whereas in here you have all these different properties that you could adjust. Again, there's a huge discussion among LightWave people which one to use. The fortunate thing is that there's two, and you can decide for yourself.
Yeah, there's as Oliver said, there's the pros and cons to each. There's just certain stuff that becomes more straightforward in this scene editor to do. And some of its behavior is a little bit more obvious than what you would expect in just general, coming at it from perhaps different pieces of software. This editor feels to a lot of people very much like the layers system in terms of how it drags and drops stuff back and forth as After Effects, just for rearrangement and modification. But obviously, for doing flags and other modifications, cloning stuff, a lot of the operations that are buried in menus or buried in options under the utilities are not accessible through this one, but they are in the new scene editor. So for certain heavy lifting type operations, it's a better choice. But for quick and dirty brute force stuff, this is the one that I commonly find myself using.
Right,
it's your scene graph. It shows you what's going on in your scene and where, in terms of like, these are all the objects that are in there. All the objects in here are parented to something else, which means they inherit the transformations of the original null. It shows you lights, cameras, things like that. It just visually, it's one way to show it. There's other ways in LightWave to show this, and that's through the schematic view. But to be honest, I don't use that much. There's some people that do. The nice thing in the schematic view. The nice thing in the schematic view is that you can rearrange the nodes, and so if you had a character, you could rearrange the nodes almost like a character sheet, so you kind of know which one to click on. But I find it more cumbersome than what it's worth, and I really don't use it that much.
And that is very specific to character animators. Most of the character animators that I've worked with over the years have that schematic mode open somewhere in probably quad or dual view, and they'll have it up just because it's easy for them to identify what's what, no matter which way their perspective or their camera is facing. So it makes sense from that standpoint, but for many people just new to LightWave, if they're looking at things, it's kind of just easier to see things visually the way that they expect them to be in the real world, rather than go and look at a character tree like that. It does make sense looking at some stuff like for a vehicle or a building or something like that. So
what the scene editor basically is a spreadsheet of everything that's in your scene.
Yeah. And Oliver used the term scene graph. That's a thing from Maya, although that exists, I think, in other programs as well. They're just different names for the same thing.
Yeah. So, right now we have to go back to the scene, the background plate is already in here, and you can see as I scrub through it, everything matches, and that's just literally by the loading of the scene that Cinta has created. And so if we want to bring in our HDR, we can do that now. Actually, one thing we want to make sure that we are in linear color sRGB color space here, and we can bring in the HDR by something called texture environment. We know it's going to be on the y-axis, and we're going to bring in the image. that is an equirectangular image. So that's, you know, an unwrapped sphere essentially. We also know that equirectangular is not that bad, but you know, you get used to it. And once we have that, if I actually disable the background for a second, and we're in the perspective view, and just enable DVR, you can kind of see that now, you know, as I'm moving around, I'm sort of in that space, or in whatever my room was. So that's just now me rotating the perspective view within the, you know, within the sort of, all it does is it maps this image into a sphere around, you know, my scene, essentially.
It's wrapped to the origin, correct? It's not wrapped to the camera.
And you can change that. Again, you have the parameters here to change that, but you know, typically don't touch them. You might get into things where you want to invert the unwrap amount. That's to flip the image.
Yep.
So if we go -1 here, you can see that that's actually correct, because now I can read the text that's on here.
Right, and the other thing is, you know, depending on you know, camera or how this was shot, you may want to, you know, do the rotation so it's 180 versus its default at 0.
That's one of the things. Also, you know, in terms of alignment of the scene, you can with the heading angle here, you can align, you know, where that is, and you probably will or might have to do that depending on how you aligned your scene in SynthEyes.
So let me mention just a quick little housekeeping here. For those who are not presenting, but you're just listening and watching, do me a favor and mute your microphones. I'm hearing it's subtle, but it's various things coming from other people's microphones who are not talking. Now, I have to keep my microphone on because it's the only way for the Twitch people to hear the Adobe Connect chatter. So just be aware of that. But anybody else who's presenters, just mute your microphone if you're not talking. If you want to talk, then unmute, talk, and then mute it back again. All right, that was it.
So I'm going to go that mesh object here that we exported. You know, I don't really need it for this particular thing, so I'm just going to disable it here in the scene editor so that it doesn't get rendered anymore.
And how are you disabling it in the scene editor?
That's literally by just you know, clicking here. You see the checkbox here. The checkbox is basically showing you what's being rendered.
Right. And
the second one, the eye, basically shows you what's visible in OpenGL.
And it's a good idea. Like, we know this stuff already, so it's a good idea to mention those silly little things that for newbies, new people coming on who are probably Maya people but want to get into Lightwave, it's good for them to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's good that you're reminding me.
Okay.
So, because
I just really quickly, the check mark is not just off for the renderer; it's like off in the scene for pretty much everything, with the exception of perhaps dynamics.
Yes and no, because it's still parent, and I mean parenting.
Well, there's that stuff, but you know, it's not going to.
It's not going to evaluate it essentially.
Right. So, from a processing standpoint, it actually reduces some of the weight in the scene.
Yeah. So, you know, now that we're at this point in time, we want to get in that character that Steve did, and I'm just going to do a load from scene here, and go to my temp folder, and in here we have the flying knee punch combo, and just one quick note: anybody that probably would ever work with me, I hate pluses and things like that in file names or spaces or things like that.
Yep, and the reason why is
drive me sort of mental. Honestly, I don't even care what other reason there might be. I just hate it. So,
well, like one of the things that always kills me is when people use spaces, especially in content directories. It's just a really good way to guarantee that you're going to screw something up because of the way that you know, the internet was designed.
There's always programs that might not deal with that correctly.
Exactly. So don't take a chance.
It's typically people from the Mac world that do these kind of things that I found, but there are PC people too that do the same thing. Yeah. But anyway, so we'll go into we'll load this, and I did a load from scene. And the important thing in the things that come from views is that you want to be on Maya style joins. Otherwise, if you don't do that, if you choose any of the other options, it will come in, it will look like it came in correctly, but all the animations will be messed up. So just set it to Maya style joins and sort of be happy in terms of that it works.
Yeah, you're using motion plugin and you're not scaling the scene. What are the reasons for that?
Actually, there is no reason for that. It should just be, I don't use motion plugin, so, and I don't use the scale the scene. I leave everything 1-to-1. That way, if I load the FBX into another application, I get the same sort of thing.
Okay, but if you're not doing that, is generally, because I found that everything that comes from Max, including the Axis software from Perception, or the Neuron software, it's going to be 0.01 for scale.
Yeah,
that way.
One of the things, once you use all these different applications and you figure sort of out what the scaling is, typically it's meters to centimeters or, you know, that kind of thing, then of course you can scale it. In this particular case, it doesn't really matter because the person itself would be way bigger than what we want to be in the scene.
Right. You know, it's going to be cases.
Real life here, or real life sizes, which I also encourage doing. So once we do this, you'll get the envelope. In this particular case, we want to load everything. And it looks like nothing happened, but if we look at our scene graph, or scene editor, you can see that there's these objects that came in, they're separated by fuse, and there's our bone hierarchy. And we're going to make a new null here and call it character. And I typically add little slashes or something like that in terms of for root objects. I think that's good practice as well. We will select all of these and parent them. So by just dragging them onto the object here, or onto the root object, they now get parented. And what we can then do is select the character and scale it down. So let's
there he
scale
is.
it. Just scale to something that we feel is right. It doesn't really matter in this particular case. Make sure that the object itself is on the ground, because again, our keyboard and everything like that, you can see here, you know, if we look at it from the side, we can see our ground, we can see the keyboard, and we want to have them sort of in front of the keyboard. And once we have that, you now sort of, and unfortunately it's a little jump thing, which is going to jump up, but you know what, let's just roll. And do that. And a little bit more. It's not the best motion for this particular thing, but...
well, the great thing is you got to parent it to this null now, so you can just grab the whole thing and move it around as you want, as long as you keep it on the X.
You know, if we wanted him to jump over, let's see, we could possibly do that as well. Maybe we'll do that in a little bit after I go through this. But anyway, we now have the character in the scene. Let me just do a little bit more rotating. And you know, unfortunately, the animation stops here, but you can see he tracks, you know, nicely through this. If we go to rendering now, you can see the characters in here. We want to enable the. I'm gonna go and enable GI. And you know, with just the environment, or with just the texture environment, you're not really casting any sort of specific shadows. So typically, and I'm going to do this a little bit different, but we just...
You also don't have a ground plane in there to interact with any lights.
So. Actually, that's one thing I forgot. So in order to add a ground plane, there's multiple ways of doing it. So because of LightWave 2018, I now literally just add a null. It's called ground plane. And I use the new primitive shapes and make that a ground plane, and scale this up to a specific size. You just see what the size is here. Yeah, that's
good.
And that's because our scale is so much lower. Here you go, nicely covered. And now when we actually do this, you can see that there's a shadow cast, obviously in the wrong direction, and we have a white plane. In order to get rid of the white plane, because we only want to really just capture the shadow and any sort of reflections that there might be. Let me quick set this what we need to do is we need to use a material called Shadow Catcher, or a shading model called Shadow Catcher, and we do that by opening the surface editor, going to shading model, keep it on principle for now, and we're going to change this to Shadow Catcher. And that automatically brings in the sort of projection maps the environment onto the plane and use that as a material, and all we're
You're still using the distant light though, are you not?
I'm using distant light, yeah. Right. So again, you can, if I do this with just actually no, let me change this.
So Shadow Catcher will work with any light source in LightWave?
It works with any light source in LightWave.
Okay.
Now, the thing is to sort of cast a shadow, I'm going to use a distant light. There's no real reason for this, other than it's going to render extremely fast, and that's really the reason to do this in a timely manner. So if I use a distant light, and first of all, let's adjust the rotation of the light.
So other light sources don't render as fast as distant light?
Correct.
Okay.
The distant light is pretty darn quick, and you can see it's a hard shadow, which we don't really want. So we can. This is kind of like where fudging comes in, and you don't have to. You can change this all into an environment light, and we just adjust here some parameters. Oh, I know why. So this one has interpolated radiosity by default, which is really not something that you want to in terms of working interactively. So if you actually change it to just brute force, you can see that it's much faster in terms of resolving.
And there's also been in the .2 patch, this has been improved for speed.
Yeah, it's still slow. My advice would be, if you work interactively with a new scene, turn interpolated off. You can turn it back on when you're done with it. But you can see that plane now is way too reflective. So if I shift click on the plane, you can see I'm back on my Shadow Catcher material. And let's just take some of the reflectivity down, and maybe even some of the roughness down.
Just really quickly, Oliver, sorry to interrupt all the time, but what's the background image option there that we had on the shading model?
Right now, oh, you mean here?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean these?
Yeah. So the difference between those two is basically you've got the background image or the environment. Yeah.
And what you don't really want to do the environment, because the environment would be our sphere, which would be incorrect. You want to be the background image. If you change it to this, it would be whatever our 360 dome would be, and that of course would be incorrect. So it would have to be on background image. You can adjust the shadow colors, things like that. All stuff that I don't know that we really need to get into. So this is probably
such thing as a shadow color. It's kind of a fake, anyways. Shadows are always, a lack of light, rather.
It's nice to be able to adjust it. But essentially, that's all you have to do in order to get this in. Now, one thing to understand is the other thing I do a lot. Let's say we're happy with this sort of result and we're ready to, because I don't. I composite everything, so I don't do final renders, including compositing in LightWave. I take it into Fusion. And one of the things that is cool in 2018 now, or so much easier in 2018, is something called custom buffers. And in terms of, let me just do one quick render here. Change the resolution, that's fine. And so if we just do a quick render. And this is actually interesting, because the reason why this takes so long right now, and you can see these tiles working pretty much where you think like, well, that's just the background image, why is it even doing something there? And that's because the ground plane covers everything. So if you adjust the ground plane, which, let me just do that real quick.
Now, if I can interrupt just for a second, please. Sorry about this, guys. So ADP and Kevin Fanning, I see you in here for participants. So I'm going to make you a presenter. All right, and so
welcome, Kevin.
Well, and so basically, make sure your microphone, select your microphone here, and then click the microphone to turn it green, but keep it off. So if you want to turn off your microphone, you simply click it once, You get the little red check mark through it, like I'm going to do now. All right, or not the red check mark, but a green check mark. So leave it muted so that your background noise doesn't come through the speakers. And I apologize for everybody on Twitch. I was typing. I guess I'm going to have to buy another keyboard. Or actually, I'm going to set up another computer back away from the microphone back here, where I can do my Twitter, notifications and Facebook notifications without it being so close to the microphone. So okay, so you're on. Mute your microphones, and then let's see. Then what we'll do is after Oliver's done, we'll kind of actually put it here in the chat box something you might like to share. So put in just type a little chat in there saying, hey, I got a cool technique for this or that, and then what I'll do, and Carm is typing in now, and then what I'll do is we'll come around and get you guys to share as well. So I'm cooking up a Cyflex tutorial. Okay, cool. So Carm, I'm going to bring you on next after Oliver. So get prepared. And anybody else who wants to share something, go ahead and type in what you want to share, and then we'll come and get you guys as well. All right. So I'll go ahead and maximize this again, and take it away, Oliver.
Okay, so back to the image render, you can see the previous render I did was 17 seconds, and the new render I did is 8.5 seconds. So that's literally splitting it in half, and that's only because now the ground plane is only covering this specific section. So just keep that in mind when you do your scenes. Optimizations are always good. I mean, they save a ton of time. But to show this now, what the result of this is, if you look at the alpha channel, all you're really getting is the shadow itself and the person, in one pass. So when you actually composite it, that's really all that's being composited, and that's what the shadow catcher does for you automatically. Now, the one thing that working with compositors and compositing myself and working in productions is always where people, or usually artists send an image or send sequences to the compositor, and then the compositor at some point in time will come back to them and saying, can we please have a matte for this and a matte for that, and all these kind of things. And then you have to go in and sort of do your entire do a render again just for those mattes. So one of the things I have in my toolkit here is, if I actually select, if I go to the scene editor, bring that back to the foreground, if I select all these objects, I can actually, there's something called, what I called object group. And if you do this, I'm just going to say create a character group. And then also, if you now look in final render here, there's a thing called group character. And if you look at that, that's only the character. If you want also a per object pass, there's a thing called here per object. And now if you look again, you have something for just the body. You have something for the bottoms. So it makes it very, very easy to get these different passes out. You could use object IDs, but the problem with object IDs is, as you use them through different scenes, they're not always going to be the same color, or they're not always going to be the same index. With something like this, the map is always going to be called the same thing. So when you work within a pipeline, and you can go back to the same setups, it's extremely beneficial.
Just a question here, and also probably a tip. If you have like a master scene where this character is built, and you create those from the get-go, when you do load items from scene and everything else, that's going to be associated with that character throughout everything else that you do, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's brilliant.
And so that's it's always good to keep. So if I'm not gonna bore you by rendering the sequence out, but if we go back to it, if we go to the compositor, and I'm gonna load the sequence that I have rendered.
Now you might want to talk about what this compositor is once again, because a lot of people don't know this stuff.
So I've used Fusion since its inception. So it's essentially very similar to Nuke. It's different to After Effects because it's primarily node based, but all in all, they essentially do the same thing. I find After Effects probably better for motion graphics, but if you're doing effects and things like that, and you're used to nodes, I think Fusion is a great choice. Fusion is also free. This particular, I'm running the studio version, which is I think $2.99, but they have a free version, which the only limitation I think is it only does 4K, and it doesn't allow you to use plugins. It still allows you to use scripts and stuff. But
Yeah, it's 4K, no network rendering, no stereo tools, and the plugins is limited. Yeah, the tracking tool is part of the $300 value package.
Yeah, so the thing that I showed in the beginning with Synthize, there's other ways to track, and Blender, I think, can do it for free. Fusion and After Effects both can track, and then you have to export it. But I've used Synthize for so long, and it's such a great program, and I think it's definitely at the top of the line for trackers.
You can do more than just camera tracking in Fusion, or sorry, in Synthize. I've seen people do facial performance capture,
object tracking. I mean, it's so flexible. It tracks 360 shots, so accurate rectangular shots.
Yeah, that's the new thing that's kind of breaking ground. I haven't had a chance to play with that, but since you've got the 360 camera, Oliver, you might want to do that at some point in the future.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that could be something that it's almost like it's an entire new
totally
single thing, that you get into. But so again, Fusion is node-based, and this is my original plate. You can see I have a node here with the original plate, and if I scrub through the shot here, you can see that's what we have. And then I also have the render that I just did, and you can see the checkerboard just indicates that there's an alpha channel, and the reason why why even our render here is checkerboards is because the alpha channel, of course, is just this. So this would be transparent, and so the first thing you typically want to do, or that I do, is when you import the data, I do post multiply by alpha, and so immediately you see that. Now, if I turn the alpha off, that's all we see. We're going to adjust the gamma real quick of that plate.
So, Oliver, I've got a question. Do you want to save this for later on today?
No, because this is going to take 2 minutes.
All right, very good.
Because I want to show the one thing I want to show the one thing with the mats. So if I add this onto now. That's all you essentially have to do in order to get, the character composited. Now the cool thing is, with what I've shown earlier, you can take this operator and duplicate it. And there's a plugin, again, it's part of OD Tools, it's called Mat Extract. And when we go in here, you can now see that in this image, you saw me earlier set them up in LightWave, it automatically knows there's a character mat, which if I select that, and I just look at this, that's only the character.
So it's reading it from LightWave?
It was set up in LightWave, so this would just be the bottoms.
Okay.
So it's now very easily to use if we wanted to color correct the pants, for example.
And the reason why this is working, though, Oliver, which I don't think you mentioned here, is you're getting this because the EXR that's being saved is a multi-layered EXR. This isn't going to work for you if you're just using TGAs or something of the nature.
In the saving here, in the buffers that LightWave now has, you have all these different standard buffers, and then you have extra buffers, which is still standard, and then you have the custom buffers in here that I created via my plugin. Again, you can also create them without my plugin. It's just a lot more work.
Okay, so for those of you who just came in, be aware that Oliver makes OD Tools. He makes plugins for LightWave, and he's demoing one of his plugins. It's absolutely fabulous. All his public plugins are fabulous, but this is kind of very, very practical. Okay, sorry, I thought I'd interrupt there.
Yeah. All of them are practical, but there are just too many to go through in detail. but
your account, Oliver, you're just a machine over the last year working on this stuff. So where are you at now? Jeez, man.
Let me just finish this because we're almost done. So again, what you were saying, Kat, in order to set this up, you just select them all here, and then when you go to output, I typically don't use any of these sort of thing. I always use multi-layer. That creates a single file. It's an EXR file. It's floating point format, which really everybody should be using. You shouldn't be using PNGs. You shouldn't be using targets. Just use EXRs. It gives you the most flexibility. And once you do
that, file management, that's the whole reason why I use it. And
once once you do that, all you literally have in the compositing package, and this doesn't matter whether it's After Effects, whether it's Photoshop, whether it's Fusion, whether it's Nuke, it's the same in everything. You have in the format itself, you can look at the different channels here, and there's all these different channels in there. All my script essentially does here is just gives you a quick way of humanly reading them, because it's all about speed in terms of what you want to do. If you want the shoes to change, we'll do that, and now the shoes will become red.
It's getting access to it and then being able to manipulate it fast. That's because you got an idea in your head, and your creativity doesn't want to go out the window with you trying to figure out where's this stuff. Getting access to this through this is great, because right now, if you just are working with EXRs conventionally without something like this, you can very easily find yourself swimming in a list of a couple dozen, if not more, buffers for you to work with, and trying to select them sometimes with the mouses gets finicky. Oliver, are you a tablet guy?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, so then you don't have to go through the nightmare of trying to select some of this stuff with a tablet. And the higher the resolution the screens go, it gets a little bit funky.
Now.
I mean, what this kind of workflow is, and specifically about the reason why I created some of these buffer maps that creates all these custom outputs is simply because as a 3D artist, you don't want to waste time creating new maps all the time for somebody that might eventually want them. Or even if you're working on yourself, you might start compositing a shot and realize, man, if I just had a map for that, it'd be so much easier. Then you have to go back and set it all up. So I typically, I do a per surface pass, I do a per object pass, I do group passes. Like if you have different materials, like and you want all materials that have gold in it, you can make a group pass for just that gold surface.
We also have light groups now too.
And you have light groups and things like that. But and the other cool thing is about saving them as multi-layer. These buffers, essentially maps, they're just black and white. They're extremely small. They don't add a lot to your file size.
Well, they're mostly grayscale for anything that's like an alpha channel would be grayscale.
But still, there's no reason for you not to do this and not to use that workflow. It just speeds up everything so much more than you could imagine.
I can't really think of a reason why you wouldn't.
And I'm going to finish this with just one quick other tip that is new to 2018. If you were using EXR Trader before 2018, you had it all along, but it's new to 2018. And that's a lot of times people are being asked, how do I set up a 3D camera? And you can export FBXs and import them into Fusion. You can do the AE link in After Effects. But one of the things about Fusion that's extremely cool is there's a script that I've written, or a sort of macro that I've written. It's called Camera for Metadata. And so one of the cool things about EXR contains by default a lot of different metadata, and that's camera transforms, field of view, all these kind of things. And you can see if I take this operator here, it asks me for a loader's name. All I ever have to do is drag whatever output I've rendered from LightWave into that viewer, and now you can see that there's a 3D camera here. So if you now scrub around, you can see that the camera is exactly what I had in LightWave, and that's extremely beneficial as you're not referencing external files, but it's always whatever is actually embedded within your image. So you don't have to think about, okay, for that render, what was actually the scene that I did this for? Or what is the FBX or the motion file that I exported for this? It's always maintained within this. If I swap out this image sequence to something else, it will change the camera on a per frame basis
It just gives you that coordinate value for each frame?
Yes.
Excellent.
And it's extremely beneficial. It's again, it's also if the compositor wants to set up some 3D space because they want to put some cards in here or some other objects, they don't have
motion graphic text.
They don't have to ask you for some additional output, so it doesn't go back to the 3D artist. They can just add a little operator and that's it. And again, in the end, you come to this. Where's that QuickTime? The output. In the end, you arrive in something like that in probably a little less than if you don't have to do a lot of explaining, it probably takes you about 30 minutes to do. That's it.
That's it? Okay, cool.
That's
All right.
Babylon.
That was fantastic. That was a long one, but that was fantastic. Okay.
Pretty good 30 minutes. So.
It's just, you know, if people were asking how to do a shot from start to finish, well, you know, this is a simple thing, but the ingredients are the same for any live action type shot.
All right. So Carm 3D. So what we're going to do, Carm has something to share. And you're cooking up a Cyflex tutorial. So Carm, so if Oliver, you stop sharing your screen, we're going to bring on Carm. This is working really well. And Oliver and Kat, mute your microphone. If you're going to talk, it's okay not to unmute. Just
Yeah, no, I'm just typing to Kevin here. He's going to jet out. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is awesome.
This is great. Yeah,
these are kind of cool, happy sessions.
So what's happening is they can hear you typing too. So they heard me typing. I'm gonna have to get a stealth keyboard for these things. Okay, so Carm, go ahead and share your screen. In the middle of your Adobe Connect screen, you should have a Share My Screen button.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
All right, so look.
Oh, yeah, I clicked that. It says it needs to install a plugin.
That's correct. Do it.
Yeah, I downloaded the plugin. Is it working?
It should. Well, now, what browser are you using?
Firefox.
Yeah, that's good. So just look for a little notice up there saying I agree or install or allow or something like that. It may have gone behind something. I mean, just look around for it.
Okay. No, there's nothing behind anything.
Well, yes, it's asking you to do something.
Carm, just really quickly, I find it best if you actually download the Adobe Connect tool from the link where you go to sign up originally, and you do that. You might have to ditch and then come back into the room after you connect with Adobe Connect and put in the actual URL.
Okay.
Firefox is a little clunky.
Somebody gave me a direct link. I didn't go to Adobe to get in here.
Yeah, usually you don't have to do that. It'll ask you and you just agree to it, but in those rare cases. So once that's loaded in.
Well, it downloaded something, but I don't know. Maybe I need to close my browser and then restart it.
Yeah, go to your downloads
That's
folder. Awesome. If you click on your downloads viewing your downloads through your browser, it should show the Adobe Connect plugin there. Double click it to load it on in. Sometimes it disappears on you, and I don't know why.
It's not listed there. It just kind of.
All right.
It appeared. It did a little progress bar and then it disappeared.
You can always.
Hey Steve, I've been banned from Twitch.
What did you say?
I've been banned from Twitch.
Oh, what did you do?
The meow?
Post the link to the Origami Digital Origami tools.
Oh, I have to give you a pass.
Oh no.
So for those of you who want to post a link, you have to ask permission for a pass. And I'm looking for the, oh darn it, I'm forgetting what the pass, where is it? Twitch promos. Let's see, my Twitch plugins. That's not it. Hold on a minute. I'll get. It's a hall pass. I forget what it's called. I'll get you.
It's my life trying to get away from the high school mentality. What's going on here?
Exactly. It's a permission. It's a code I gotta type in to let you in. And gosh, I thought I had put it in here already. I hate this when I get disorganized like this. All right, hold on a second.
No, it's good to get all this kind of sorted out. You know, this is a casual thing, but still.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody watching,
It might be moot for me anyway, because the thing I was trying to show, I've been trying different ways, and I've been unable to recreate the problem.
Oh, harsh.
It never works when you want to, but only when you don't. It doesn't work when you want it to.
Right.
Well, see, you're trying to show something and recreate a problem, but it's hard when you show something and you get a problem and it didn't before.
Well, I had the solution for the problem, but I was trying to recreate the worst possible scenario, and it's working like a charm.
Oh, well, bloody hell.
All All right, so let's see what's happening. Is it? Did you get it installed?
But I can certainly relay the information that could help you avoid it if you encounter the same problem. But I don't know. I'll restart my browser, see what happens.
Okay, that sounds good. So LightWiki, I'm bringing you in. All right, I've just brought the last two people. Now let me ask you, LightWiki, do you want to share something real quick? Don't forget your microphone. Turn that on. Make sure it's working.
Can you unban me?
Yep, I can. Well, no, I can't unban you. So it only bans you just for a short period of time. So just sit tight, and you'll be unbanned. And don't be a bad boy anymore.
We post the link to the origami stuff on Twitch then.
All right, no, hold on a second. I'll figure this out. Just sit tight and be patient. Okay, so LightWiki, you there? Talk to us.
I think you might have to install the Scottish to English translation plugin.
He was on here the other day with us, so and tested it out. He was coming through fine. Is he there? He's probably not there. All right, so he's probably not there. He's probably went to the restroom or something.
Hey, there he is.
Oh, you here? You said what is it? Okay, then your microphone. We can't hear you, buddy. Turn it on.
How's that?
Okay, I hear something. There you go. All right, cool.
How you doing, gentlemen?
We're doing great, man. Welcome. Hey, do me a favor. Would you go into your microphone settings and go to adjust microphone volume, bring it up just a little bit more? Cool. That should help. Now, let's see what it sounds like. Go ahead and talk.
To be honest, I don't think adjusting the volume will help you with my Scottish.
That sounds great.
Now, actually, I think you were good. We were just babbling over top of you.
Yeah, you sound great. So you want to share a little something for us? LightWiki?
Laptop. Yep.
You want to share something in Lightwave? You need to share your screen to do so. That's my comment was toward LightWiki. I'm not sure if you caught that. There we go. It's coming on. Cool. There we go. You know what's interesting is whenever I do these Twitch streams, we get more. Let me go ahead and maximize this. We get more attendance when we're just bannering and not showing anything. I know we just chatting and bullshitting. The numbers go up. It's fascinating. All right, so LightWiki, I'm not hearing your voice. Are you still muted? Don't realize it.
Yeah, I'm muted at the moment. Hang on.
Okay, yeah, go.
There's very little I can show because I'm actually on my laptop at the moment.
Yeah, then you okay? Stay. So you're presenting now, so you can stay unmuted. And keep in mind that we have some people here who are new to LightWave and that they could be 3D experts or even beginning level, but work in other packages but don't know LightWave. So whatever you share, try to kind of break down your workflow and why you're doing it and all that other stuff.
Give me 5 seconds.
You got it. No worries.
I don't actually have anything physically prepared.
We're patient. So while you're getting organized there, you stop sharing your interface. So you want to keep sharing your interface. That's a good thing. I know you think it's a bad thing. It's not. Have something visual for people to see.
Well, let's check in with Carm here. How's Carm doing?
We'll bring Carm back.
Share the Illustrator thing.
Okay, now I'm noticing.
I'm on my laptop, mate. I'm not on my rig. I'm literally just in the door 10 minutes ago. Nothing set up. Hence why I'm saying there's very little I can actually show at the moment. I mean, we could do top banner of the week. Pedro.
So do you want me to go to Carm? You want me to go to Carm? Now you're breathing really heavy in your microphone, so you might want to pull it away from your mouth. So you want me to go to Carm next? What do you want me to do?
Carm, did you get your screen fixed?
Carm,
I don't think Carm is online, is he?
I don't know. Let me check.
He had to restart his browser. I'm sure he's dealing with that right now. So when he's out of the browser, he's pretty much disconnected. So he probably can't even hear us talk. So
all right. So then, who's ready?
I can show. I can do a quick Adobe Illustrator thing in terms of getting some of the like using my plugin to get AI files in.
Okay.
Yeah, what's that all about? Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, Kerm3D is back. There he is. Let me go to presenter. Now, before we do that, Oliver, hold tight. Let me see what's going on with Kerm. All right, so Kerm, you there?
Yeah, let me see if I can share my screen now.
Excellent. I think somebody's sharing. Good. Somebody was sharing.
Does that do anything?
Did you have the 3 heads on your screen?
3 heads.
The LightWiki site? That was probably LightWiki.
I was. Yeah, it was.
That was LightWiki. Okay. So, Carm, now we don't see you yet. So, you got to click share my screen, and then there's a little option that's going to ask you to plug in
When I
something.
clicked it, there was like a window that popped up for a fraction of a second, then it disappeared.
You know what? Try a different browser, Carm.
Okay.
Try a different browser.
Get that sorted, and we'll switch over to Oliver for the moment.
Yeah, let's go to Oliver. Oliver, we're going to you. Go ahead and share your screen.
So it'll be a quick thing. Let me just remove all of these.
All right. So I'm going to maximize you so everybody can see you.
So one of the things, I have an SVG file here, or I have them in a couple different formats. It's just something I downloaded. There is AI files and EPS files.
Okay.
And to bring them into LightWave, one of the issues always, or that people have a lot, is if we go import here and use the EPS loader, and we go to the where is it, Illustrator, we choose one of those files. You can see a lot of times a whole bunch of nothing happens, because they either have to be saved as old AI8 file, or there's just many different things. Like it doesn't seem to be updated, and it's actually surprisingly similar in other apps. So one of the things that I've done is there's a Blender plugin that I have converted. Oh boy, where is it? 1 second. I thought I made a menu. You know what? I'd have to add it first. I could have sworn I did that, but sorry, that was a mistake. Let me not share the screen and add this thing.
Well, you can add. Let everybody watch you add it. This is a good education for them too.
Yeah.
Don't get self-conscious about it. So
No, it's not quite that simple. 1 second. Just a minute.
I'm sure some of us are not supposed to see something, that's all.
Exactly. So
No, Oliver just has that many things to hide.
I'm going to so we go here and add the plugin itself. We're going to add it to the menu. Let's see, so many OD ones. So OD vector import file. Add that to this. So now that we have that here, it gives you a crap load of options. And what we're going to do is just quickly take the same file that we just tried to load into LightWave and just keep everything as default. Maybe we'll remove these. So actually, first we'll keep everything as default. And so the cool thing about this is that it brings in the file with all the assigned colors, which is usually a huge pain in the butt because the traditional LightWave importer doesn't get any of these colors. So that's just one of the things in terms of why people should use this plugin, and it's free. I made it available since I really just converted the Blender version to LightWave. But anybody that deals with EPS, it also imports SVGs, EPS, SVG, and AI files, and I think also PDF files. But the PDF support is limited. But this is one of the tools that you can use to get the EPS in. You can adjust the subdivisions, things like that, and it gets you all the colors of the files as well. So that's.
I'm sorry, Oliver, to interrupt, but some stuff is going to be in CMYK. How does LightWave handle that when you import it?
It literally it would be whatever the RGB conversion is.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty straight across.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty straight across.
That plugin is available. That plugin is freely available. It's called OD AI Import, I believe. And I can post a link to that on the channel as well.
Don't do it again. You'll get banned.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I'm working on that. I haven't.
I'm still banned for probably, let me see how many minutes.
Don't worry about it. I'll get you unbanned.
I'm unbanned. Alright, that's it.
That's it. So Carm, how's Carm doing? Carm answering? Is Carm there?
So that's a good idea, Oliver. You can just throw the plugin right into this thing here, and everybody gets it as a file. Upload it.
That's true. You go right here. Well, actually, that's through Adobe Connect. So,
right.
So that we'll get it. The presenters will get it, but the guest won't get it. So, in terms of the guests, join the mailing list. So I can send the email directly to everybody who is on our mailing list. Okay, so hold on a second. I'll get you the mailing list link here. Actually, it's being posted by Nightbox, but I'll go ahead and do it again real quick. All right, so there we go. Mailing list is here. I'm gonna just type it in now. Cool. So join the mailing list so that you'll be notified of these meetings every week. We're going to do this once a week. This looks like it's working out pretty well. And then anything... Okay, I see. He's responding to somebody else. It's him like 1024. So there is the mailing list. Join the mailing list so that I can send you this stuff from these guys directly. So... And you'll be notified of the monthly meetings, of the LightWave users group meetings, as well as these little weekly presentations. So all right, so I've got a bunch of people on here on the Connect, and the reason you're on here for Connect is because you're going to present something. So Phantom Shadow, would you like to present something?
Hey, can you hear me? I
can hear you.
I don't know that I really have anything I can present. I didn't even know I was going to be participating today till about 10 minutes before the meeting.
No, you don't have to have
the show. It's just something I worked on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Who just came in. I don't know if I can present a tutorial today of any kind.
Okay,
I don't have anything prepared.
Keep in mind. Let me kind of like clear this up with everybody. You're not supposed to be here prepared. This is just an impromptu thing. You come and just share shit, it's not, Oliver and I have been chatting way before we were setting this thing up. So he comes on sounding all professional and stuff, and I'm a professional teacher and presenter, so I just come off looking like I'm prepared. But you don't have to be prepared. Just anything, stuff you're working on, cool things.
Let me help Mark out here for a second.
Well, no. Let
Mark,
me finish.
You've got a couple of really interesting side projects. And part of it, because you are a programmer, let's talk about a little bit like what you do here in Las Vegas. Because I don't think a lot of people understand that Lightwave has this very strange way of finding its way into odd places and how we kind of come together as a community. Because not everybody's a visual effects artist, not everybody does art viz, not everybody does this, but it's all these different kind of factors, and it's kind of the headspace that Lightwave artists are in that brings us together. And Mark's a great example of that. So you can kind of talk about yourself here.
So let me interject.
If you get stuck, I'll help you out.
Let me interject something here.
One of the things that I do is I'm also, like Kat said, I'm a software developer and I make games. I'm a software engineer by trade. Filmmaking is something else to do. I'm actually going to share my screen if I can.
Go for it.
I have something here I think I can show. This is something from a game I'm working on currently. And well, this is just a static scene. How do I share my screen?
So look at your Adobe Connect. Your Adobe Connect interface. You have a button smack dab in front of your face that says "Share my screen."
I'm working on it. Request control. Is that it?
Well, go ahead. Well, try that.
Your request for control screen is pending.
Your screen is being shared and controlled by Phantom. Okay, so let me stop. Hold on a minute. Sorry, that's my fault. I had to stop sharing. Okay, go for it.
Oh, hold on a minute. Let me see.
Yeah,
You're
actually asking
fine.
for
You're
control
fine.
over Stefan's computer. I don't think that's a wise idea at the moment.
Yeah. So this is you're there. We see you.
See something.
Yep,
Okay,
you're
you
there.
see this?
Yep, we
Yes.
see you.
Excellent.
This is a scene from the ending of my video game. That cityscape was rendered out in LightWave, and what you're seeing now is that's inside of a HitFilm, which is another compositing program. And what I did here is I added a bunch of visual effects and color grades. So this is the raw render from LightWave, and that was a stock Greenville City pack I downloaded from Daz about 5 or 6 years ago. And then what I did is I took it in here to punch it up a bit and add some atmospherics. And as I add in each one of these adjustment layers, you can see it all the light effects, the rays, and so forth. So I took what was already, kind of a cool render, and I just punched it up. And this is a background image for something that will be later in my game for the ending. I'm also going to see here what other projects I can quickly load up here very quickly and show you. But this is, like I said, that was a very quick scene that I put together just in LightWave. And, for my video game that I'm building, I'm going to see if I have another scene queued up in here. I may or may not. We'll take a quick look. I don't know what this is actually loading because I'm not sure what this scene is, so we're about to find out. Hopefully it loads. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is another scene that was partially built in LightWave. This was a test for the in-game graphics. So this was, you can see on the top layer the graphics for the Space Invaders type stuff, and then there's a bunch of stuff here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. That's all in LightWave. That's in LightWave3D right there, and that's also in Carrera. And then I added all the lens flares and so forth. This was a composite test to see how it would look in the actual game. I'm going to try to load Unity right now and then see if I can actually show you this scene. So let me minimize that. Is that monitor still being shared?
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Loading Unity right now. It takes a bit to come up. And let me minimize a bunch of stuff here because I got clutter all over the place. I miss my notes and so forth. Let's just see. How do I switch monitors? Unity is loading right now, so it takes about a second to come up. And I'm going to show some graphics that I did in LightWave that are in Unity as well. What I did with LightWave is there's a ton of greebles and Nernies available. I use those for scrolling backgrounds for space games. So let's see if it comes up, I hope. Unity is still loading. Bear with me just a moment. Sorry for showing a blank screen.
And also, Oliver, I'm going to give you a permit now. I just found the code for the damn thing. Oops, damn it. Hold on a second. It's not what I wanted.
Okay, we see your space game build window. You might have to drag Unity over to the...
Unity is still loading. Unity is being a bear. Let's see. Can you see that?
There we go.
So this is just your generic scroll. What I'm going to do is go into the scroll manager and I'm going to show a different scroll. Bear with me just a moment. And we're going to see here. We're going to shut this one off. This takes a second. This is a parallax scroll in Space Game. What you're going to see now, this was LightWave coming to the rescue. And... boom, that's our scroll. And that's all in LightWave. And believe it or not, that scroll is actually encoded in 3D in a process called chroma depth. There's a company called American Paper Optics who makes a set of 3D glasses. In blue goes into the screen, red pops out, and green is the neutral plane. So if you had a set of chroma depth glasses right now, that would actually be in 3D in 3 layers. So I'm just going to hit the play button. This is a scene I'm working on right now. This is the asteroid level, but you can see the Unity. You can see Unity play on the scrolling layers. That's all LightWave rendered. And this is my space game that I'm building currently. But I used LightWave to pre-build all the backgrounds. And that's your standard Greebles and Nernies pack, but this is supposed to have kind of an Asteroids, Space Invaders, old school vector game kind of feeling. This is what I'm working on currently for Android. It'll be released hopefully in another month or so.
Very cool.
So, yeah, but like I said, that's all Lightwave in here. That's all the Nernies packs and Greebles packs and so forth. And then I touched them up all in Photoshop. You know, I tinted them and so forth for the encoding scheme for the chroma depth process. So that's one thing I can show. I'm going to show you another item.
Just really quickly, Mark, Lightwave has the ability to render directly to chroma depth. I believe it's still intact in 2018. I haven't checked.
The only reason I would not use something like that, I find with chroma depth, you have to manually adjust colors to get the maximum effect. It's as they say, science is not an exact science, and chroma depth is definitely not an exact science. You do have to tweak it by hand. What I'll typically do is I'll go into Photoshop, put the glasses on, and manually adjust sliders to get the right color encoding.
Yeah, it doesn't unfortunately show in VPR, which is kind of a drag, but if it did, that would be cool. But you know, obviously that's a post filter, so that type of stuff doesn't show.
So let me very quickly grab one other item here. I need to open up Skype very quickly. Let's see if this comes up. This is something that I didn't do. This is Colleen, who's over in Japan. He sent this morning, and I'm going to see if I can show this to you guys. This is from Phantom Shadow. That's our train blowing up. And that's all on Lightwave. Could you guys see that? Yeah, that's all in Lightwave. That's using Turbulence FD and physics and everything. But that's a scene right now that's being prepped for Phantom Shadow. And then we have another angle which I'll show. This is the top view angle, and that's all going into Phantom Shadow. Let me see if I have anything else I can show. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so unprepared.
Just so everybody knows, Curse of the Phantom Shadow is Mark's film. He's the writer, director, and producer of the film. It was shot a number of years ago, and unfortunately, when he started this process, he didn't obviously have a huge amount of money to dedicate to it, but the amount of money that Mark has dedicated to it is pretty, stunning. But he got into a situation where, it started out with Carrera, I believe, and that just simply wasn't cutting it.
Well, Carrera was cheap, and there was another visual effects guy in town. His name is Marcus Rothkrantz, and he did a proof of concept film called Atomic City, and he did it all in Carrera 3D. So that inspired me to try Carrera 3D. If you've never seen Atomic City, it's worth taking a look at. He did it on a shoestring, shot it in his pool house, in his house in Las Vegas, and it's a retro futuristic Jetsons version of Las Vegas. And it was 100% done in Carrera. And it was pretty impressive at the time that it was shot. But Carrera is not battle-hardened. It's definitely not as powerful as Lightwave. And then I had a friend who lives down the street who's an animator who put me on to Lightwave. Says, no, Mark, get Lightwave. The community is really strong, and you'll find the results are much better. And it just blew away Carrera. I mean, Carrera is great for its price, but it's not Lightwave. And I got into Carrera because of DAZ 3D. I used a ton of DAZ models. That scene that I just showed you is a whole bunch of DAZ stuff. I've been using DAZ now quite a bit, and a lot of people belittled DAZ, and then I'll tell you, the results speak for themselves. As I've been loading up DAZ models and other things, I got to tell you, I am really impressed with the quality, and the stuff's built to scale.
So do you see what I'm showing on camera here?
I'm sorry?
You see what I'm showing on camera here?
I cannot. Do you need me to
look on
control?
your Twitch. Look on your Twitch page.
Bear with me just a moment.
It's a box of Carrera. It's the
You are funny, man.
I knew the guy. I knew the sales rep, so he always supported me with Carrera. And I even got the book still in here and the software. I'm gonna open it up. I've got the software and book. Yeah, let me see if it's still in here. Here's the book. There's the software. So here's the book, right? Remember, this all used to come with the book. Software used to come with the book, not anymore. And then there is the disc. Isn't that wild?
Hilarious. You know, with Carrera, they stopped updating the book, and then they occasionally produce a PDF. My biggest complaint with DAZ is they really need to decide what they're going to do with Carrera. It's a really
slow
cool
as
piece
molasses.
of software, but man, the development cycle on it is odd.
Right. I mean,
the reason for that is when they bought Carrera, basically, there were only a couple of guys that went with Carrera, 2 DAZ that remained, and then once it got there, much of what the reason behind it is, and this is not rumor or speculation. This is kind of first-hand information, but I won't tell you who. Just the DAZ guys are actually really awesome. I have a good relationship with them. But basically, they buy some of these tools. This happens with a lot of different companies. They buy tools for the engineers. They don't buy them necessarily for what's in that tool.
Right.
But there has been stuff that's been taken over from Carrera to DAZ, and I believe their intention was to continue to develop Carrera, but obviously the market shifted, and the Autodesk behemoth has done a number of damaging things to other applications, and it's certainly had its effect on LightWave over the years. Other products, the biggest victim, of course, being XSI. That was a shame.
Wonderful. Does anybody remember this?
I can't see.
Hold on a second. This is a little.
Someone said, "Does anybody remember this?" Oh, what is that? That looks familiar, but it's backwards on my screen.
It's Bryce 3D.
I have Bryce, and they stopped supporting it.
Yeah, Bryce was a cool little program, but slow, and that was Carrera's problem. You can't compete in this industry if you're not going to improve your software to be really fast. If Poser updates his software to be not only faster, but also have the skin warp properly so it looks like it's a human being. There's other programs coming up that's doing a much better job that's going to knock them out of the water. You can't sit on your butt in this industry. You constantly got to improve. So this is interesting.
I'm going to load up one other item possibly here. Do I have it? Yeah, so this is also some work. I believe it was done in, again, this was done in LightWave if it loads. So this is inside the cockpit of our plane in Phantom Shadow, and you'll see Kelly's work in here on the visual effects coming up. I hope this is the right one. Yeah, and that's all in LightWave. That's our airplane being blown up. There's one shot in particular I'd like to highlight, and that is, where is it?
That's a cool one.
Yeah, that's an awesome one, but that's the one I really want to highlight, if I can find it here. Come on. Is this one. This cockpit is kind of interesting. So that's all augmented with Kelly's work. There's like a combination of a multitude of elements in this cockpit, but the interesting thing here is that so Kelly added the canopy for the cockpit. This area above here. That cockpit instrumentation panel is a paper cutout on foam board, and that's all augmented with visual effects.
Right.
That split-second scene. So we did this extremely cheaply. It was impossible to get a B-25 aircraft.
Right.
So we built this cockpit for under $500.
So you have a lot of tracking going on with this shot, huh?
I'm sorry?
There's tracking with this shot?
There is a little bit of tracking, but really it's not in the way that you think. The camera didn't really move at all, so it's not from that aspect. But I had to stabilize it just a little bit because of the video, because it was shot with MPEG-4, so there was a little bit of jitter in it. But the camera, because it's stationary, we're rotating with the plane. So what happened was I actually brought the plane in, put it into the position of where the cameraman would be relative to the cockpit, and just basically shot it out the window of the airplane itself, and then motoed the CG version of the cockpit, which was extremely minimal, and didn't have any of these controls. And Mark went through the process of arts and crafts mode, doing set deck and props building, and that whole dashboard, as he said, it's part of that $500. The reverse angle of this, where you're looking at the pilot directly, who's actually the actor Stephen Manley, who you may remember from The Search for Spock. He played young Spock, and he lives here in Las Vegas. This whole thing is part of that $500 budget. So it came out great. You found some replicated. Where did the seat actually come from?
That is a folding chair that basically the type that you set up your table at Christmas or holiday dinners. I took it apart, took apart a military backpack, glued it all together, spray painted it green. There's literally a bunch of junk parts in that cockpit. That's all that cockpit is scrap parts from the thrift store, the dollar store. That's junk plywood on the sides, and all the illumination inside the cockpit are dollar store LED pen lights that I put as key lights. So to get that rim around his head, that's a dollar store light in the background illuminating the side of his head.
So what you're basically looking at here is a great example of kit bashing in low budget filmmaking. You can get some incredibly good results out of very little in terms of money, but the results come from they see need or is the driver of invention or whatever the saying is. The point is that if you have the will to go out and do this stuff, you don't necessarily have to be Hollywood or some seasoned or experienced filmmaker. We all know films. We grew up watching films and television. If you just break it down in your head, you can pretty much figure out how this stuff works and how to put it together. And you have to have the will to follow through. And Mark's certainly been able to do this over the years. And it's been some successes, some setbacks. Obviously, there's the need for being able to do this stuff. Some stuff has been beyond his capabilities, but when Mark started, he had literally nothing to rely on for information.
So this is great. So Mark, how close are you done to the film?
We got a ways to go still. There's still a lot of unfinished visual effects elements, but it's coming along little by little, inch by inch. To me, it's not a game of yards or feet, it's a game of inches, and every day when I crawl an inch forward is a success. There's quite a bit to go. The film's climax is still not finished. There's a bunch of virtual sets that are still not finished. And the worst part is when I started all this, being new to LightWave, I built everything not to scale, and that killed me.
So, Kat, was this the film that you were trying to get me onto?
Sorry, what was that?
Was this the project that you were trying to get me onto? For modeling?
And this is what I want to say is that this is a great way for people to get their head wrapped around how, if you want to go out and make your own film, or if you want to start doing visual effects, and you're having problems breaking into the industry and you need stuff to show, this is a great project to get into. If you want to join in and start working on some shots, you're unsure of what kind of thing you want to do in visual effects, and you're looking for something that you can pick out from a number of wide variety shots. This is a great project to latch onto, so please contact me or Mark. We'll punch our emails into the chat box here. You can always get a hold of me at kat@liberty3d.com. That's KAT at liberty3d.com. Mark, your email, if you want me to give it out, it's busterfuzz@gmail.com. Just send us an email, CC both of us, and we'll respond. Because literally we have these airplane sequences are just about to be finished. I'm rewiring my render farm to dust off a couple of the last ones, including the one I showed last week. And David Martin, if you're in here, he's got some motion capture characters for me. But this whole presentation is actually kind of come together because a lot of stuff that Oliver showed, dealing with compositing, the tracking, the stuff that Mark has showed, the stuff that you showed with Mixamo, and Adobe Fuse, all those tools are part of what you need to know. You don't have to be an expert in every single one of them, but you have to get your head wrapped around what you need to know to do a single shot, and all this information relates to being able to be a visual effects artist that can work on this type of a production. This image that Mark pulled up here, this is our tow truck in the show, and this tow truck plays a very key role in the film. And
an actual truck that I rented. I literally put my house up as collateral to rent the real version of that. We rented a vintage tow truck that you've seen on a lot of television shows like AMC's Mad Men. I think even in the movie Downsizing, or in a couple of films, this tow truck appears prominently. In order to get it for one day, I had to take out a bond and put my house as collateral, and we photographed the crap out of it, had it reconstructed in CG. In the film's climax, there's a battle between this tow truck and an 8-story high robot. And that's literally the 3D model that was constructed. I'll see if I can find the actual pictures of the tow truck in a minute. But that is the reconstruction, the CG stunt double of the tow truck for the film's climatic battle.
We're going to have a lot of fun with this, but there are a number of scenes with this, and it's a little bit much for any one person to handle. And it's not something that I just want to do myself to just do it. It's something that I want, and Mark is in agreement with this. We want the community to take advantage of this opportunity to be able to participate in this because, one, it's good practice. Two, it's a SAG film. It's on IMDb. It's a listed real production, even though it's an independent thing and it's been going on for some time. It's not one of these half-assed little deals. It's a full meal, kit and caboodle. One of the actresses in there is actually kind of up and coming. This is a good little project to attach to, especially if you want to get the experience and exposure that comes from this. Mostly the experience, though, the information about how to go through this process like a real-world production, because we've been treating this as much as possible like the real deal. We're using Shotgun to do all the shot tracking. That's a product that I'm going to probably do a quick presentation or tutorial on. I touched on it a couple of times in the past. But it helps you manage everything from the shot to the previs, the task scheduling, and it can even work to help with your billing.
So anyways, I just put up on the screen some actual shots of the physical tow truck. This is the kind of stuff we're up against in a small film using LightWave. But you see there's the real-world tow truck. It's very closely modeled after that. It literally went to the rental firm and photographed that truck for an entire day to get accurate texture maps.
Very nice. So do you have the 3D model of the truck?
Yeah, I have it. I had the model custom built. I have a really good 3D modeler. He's in Bulgaria, and what I do is I send him photo references, and he constructs from the photo references.
But do you have the model with you to share with everyone?
Not handy. Kelly has it. I could try loading it into LightWave. I'm not sure what state it's in currently.
Well, I don't care. Let's share with everybody.
Hang tight. I'll see if I can load it up. Bear with me just a moment.
No worries. So while he's loading, while he's loading up his model, we had a bunch of new people just jump in here. I want to say hello to everybody. Okay, so we've got so far. I'm looking at the 3 actives. 74 Space, welcome. Elamod, welcome. Erwin, welcome. Arnie Space, welcome. BDI version 1, welcome. Buster Fuzz, welcome. Cresthead, welcome. Cyberhans is here, welcome. Cyber Hans, because he's from Germany, it'll be Hans. Daphne FR, I'm assuming that's France, welcome. We have Electrical Skateboard, welcome, he's still here, great. Essence is here, welcome. GH Guy 5081 is here. Grace LightWave3D, welcome. It's Grace. Grace is that a Lightwave lady? Possibly? We don't have any lady presenters on here. We were just talking about that earlier. It'd be great to get the ladies on board sharing their knowledge and wisdom. We got the Himlik 1024 is here. Himlik, I think. Honey Ray, hey man, how you doing? Honey Ray is here. John Marchand is here, of course. Lightwave Guru is still here. Welcome. Lupus Lux, welcome. Raw Melon, welcome. Ruscular 3D, welcome. Slow Cool, welcome. And Some Gear, welcome. Now, that's all I'm seeing in the viewers list. Now, remember, keep in mind that Twitch doesn't always show me everybody who's here, so there could be people watching that are not showing up in the list. So if I've missed you, I apologize. That's the reason why I'm not seeing you there. Okay, now I want to look at some questions real quick. Now, for all of you out there, for all of you presenters here, keep an eye on your chat box. I know it's hard to do. I mean, when I first started doing this, I was one of Adobe's presenters on their Twitch channel, and it's hard to do because we get caught up in our presentation. Drink some water here, and we forget to interact with the viewers. So keep your eye on there every once in a while. answer people's questions so that I don't have to interrupt to remind you to do that. And just before we go further, how is everybody doing online? Should we take a little bit of a break, or is everybody okay?
I think we should ask for some questions.
Yeah, okay. That's okay. Everybody, type some questions in. I'm now I'll go back and look. All I see is one from Oliver saying, "How do I not get banned?"
Hey, Stefan, I have an update.
You have an up? What was that? What's the update? Tell me about the update.
I've been able to successfully recreate the problem and solution. I have no idea about the screen sharing issue, though.
Okay, so did you load in Adobe Connect?
I think so.
Okay, good. So then we'll come back to you and we'll test it out.
I went in via Internet Explorer, and it didn't give me a microphone input, so I went back to Firefox.
Okay, so as long as your Adobe Connect plugin was loaded in, when you click on the share your screen, it should share your screen. But we'll try it again. So let's finish up with this presentation, and we'll come back to you.
It would be nice if people that are online, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, if they have any feelings about what they would like to see in the future.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to kind of type in here what they'd like to see in the future, that would be wonderful. That's a great idea. And I'll take note of it. So Gracie LightWave3D. Okay, good. She's responding. Yay! We have a lady Lightwave user here, Lightwave professional. I think it's all guys here. I think you're the only lady here. I think. I could be wrong.
I would think Daphne too.
Oh, Daphne. Oh, okay, that's right. Daphne's here. Elamon says, I know this might not be within the scope of this series of presentations, but I'm interested in getting better sub-D modeling. Oh, absolutely. That would be good. Hey, who wants to do a sub-D modeling tutorial today? Hello.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can.
Okay. All right. So you're going to stop sharing. So, Carm, you want to start sharing your screen?
Sure, let's try it.
All right. So somebody's trying to share. Okay, go for it. Oh,
yeah.
Good. It's working, I think. Well, I think. Not yet.
No, it did the thing where a window popped up briefly and then it disappeared.
I think your pop-up blockers.
I agree. I think you got some pop-up blockers on there.
I can try going back into Internet Explorer, but it didn't give me a mic. You want me to try going back in that way?
Yeah, go back to Internet Explorer. Okay, something's happening now. Who's coming in?
Yeah, that's me.
Not me.
That's you. Who's this? LightWiki? Okay, LightWiki, take it away.
Yeah, that's me. How you doing, folks?
Hey, hi.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
How you doing, Stephen?
Yeah, we're doing great. Welcome, man. So,
thanks very much for the show. Thanks, Oliver. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Mark, as well. Good luck with the project. Generally, what we'll do is I'll give you a wee break for 15 minutes, guys. Usually on a Friday we pick top banner of the week. I think Oliver and I think Steve might want to show Substance Painter also. Yeah, so in the next 10 minutes, hopefully Steve will come on.
Yeah, Steve White I think is ready to show.
Is there Steve White? Well, Steve White's ready to show. By all means, I'll stop sharing my screen. But usually we pick top banner of the week, so once Steve is finished up we can maybe quickly do that. HR, you ready, mate?
Okay, so you stop sharing your screen for a reason, I assume.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oliver, is HR in the room?
Yes, I believe so.
Steve White, you share?
Alright, so something's coming in. So your microphone's so close to your mouth that we're hearing a lot of breathing. So you might want to kind of pull away from your lips just a little bit. Alright, so the share went away. Somebody's trying to share and then it goes away.
Okay, guys, can you hear my audio?
Yeah, mate.
Alright, so 3 Additive is on. I'm in Carm 3D. So 3 Additive, Carm 3D, and Liberty 3D, it got kicked off somehow. So let me go ahead and make you all presenters again. Carm, I'm making you a presenter again. And make a presenter.
Mike. Okay, let me try sharing my screen again now, if
All
I
right.
can.
Now give that a try. There we go. You're coming in.
Hey!
Now, you did this before when we tested it the other day, so I don't know why you were having problems.
I don't recall it working before, but it's working now, so do you want me to just go ahead?
Yep, go for it, man. It's all yours.
Okay, now I'm not seeing the chat, because you said you wanted us to keep an eye on a chat thing.
Well, your chat should be in another monitor, right? In your browser.
Oh.
You should have two monitors.
Well, that's my browser. There's nothing on it.
No, but
Should I go back to the...
Did you go to Twitch? Twitch.tv/Crumellusion? Are you there?
Okay.
Okay. So go to the Twitch page. Do you want need me to type it in again?
Cam, any questions will keep you posted.
Sure.
Just you concentrate and present.
It's illusion, not illusion.
Yeah, Crumellusion. There you go.
Oh, there's no S on the end, probably.
That's right. No S on the end. And then put that on another. There you go.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I'll leave that over there. Okay. All right. Am I going now? Am I live?
Yep, you're live. You're good to go.
Okay. So let me show you what I'm doing. Just for who anybody doesn't know, Cyflex is a third-party plugin you can buy. It's $200, and it is a quite nice cloth simulator. I'm not going to say it's the best one because that would be Marvelous Designer, but that's a lot more money. but between cloth effects and Bullet and Cyflex, I would go with Cyflex most times, like 9 times out of 10. There have been occasionally times when I needed to go back to cloth effects to do some weird thing, but most of the time Cyflex is a champ. And but there is a little problem, and I'm sorry, I'm seeing Skype things pop in. People are complimenting it. I'm a good presenter. Anyway, yeah, there's been some issues that I've noticed specific to Cyflex, and that's what we're going to deal with today. And so let's look at what I have. Can I move this? Okay. All right, let me hit play here. Currently, Cyflex is turned off, but can you see these nulls here? These yellow nulls there?
And we can see everything perfectly. And I'm noticing that your screen is a little smaller. It's in the middle instead of being maximized all the way. Did you intend for that?
Okay. Yeah, I guess because I had this panel over here.
All right, so
your
your interface is smaller for some reason. That's very interesting. I've never seen that happen before.
It might be because I'm 1280 by 720.
Yeah, you should be a lot larger than that. You can go up to 1920 by 1080.
Yeah, but that's just the resolution I had set to my monitor. I can crank it up if you want.
Yeah, go ahead and crank it up because everybody's seeing like a little rectangle in the middle of their overall monitor.
Okay.
So 1280, yeah, 19, yeah, that's good.
1920 by 1080.
Yeah, that should work. And let's see what happens. So apply it. Keep changes.
You would have to exit the plug. Oh no, that's still boxed.
It's still in the middle. That's really odd. I wonder why it's doing that. Hold on a minute. That's really.
It's because it's picking the resolution up from the original presentation.
So he needs.
He'd have to exit and then come back in.
He has to exit and come back in.
Yeah, see now we can't see your actual playhead or anything else. That's all cut off.
If you sharing on and start it again, it'll work.
Yeah, go ahead. Do that, Cam. Kind of exit out and come back in again, and I'll bring you in as a presenter.
How do I close this down here?
So simply go to your Adobe Connect.
Stop sharing.
There you go. Stop sharing. So and I'm going to keep an eye on here and make sure you come back in. So we're going to just get them to come back in real fast. And let's see. I've never heard anybody do 1024. That's like old, ancient resolution. All right, so you're on as presenter again, Karn.
I don't need any Yeah, it's because I'm blind. I like the fonts bigger.
I know the older you get, you need that larger, that text. I know I'm finding that out. So, there you go. Perfect. That looks good.
Okay. Okay, great.
You hit your full screen mode there in a sec.
I know. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of that.
There we go. Yeah, it works.
Okay, great. Let me just adjust this so I can see the chat.
I like the colors on your interface. Oliver is going to hate you for it, but I think it's great.
I love it. They're so funky.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, these nulls here at the corners, this is cloth up here, and this is a collision object. But I got these nulls, they're acting as nails. They're basically going to pull each corner down and keep it kind of like hovering over the ball. And so let me play it while the cloth sim is turned off. Right now the cloth sim is turned off. So you can see there's Cyflex, Cycloth, and it's turned off. So I'll just play the animation. Oops, and because I did not have the nulls selected anymore, they are invisible. Okay. So the nulls pull the cloth down and keep it like centered over the ball, and then the ball is going to spin around a bit.
Cool.
It's pretty simple. So let's start that simulation. Let's turn that on. Everything looks right there. Okay. I'll hit play. This might slow. Oh, actually, it's pretty fast. Actually, I think I need to clear my cache. Yeah, I do. Cyflex writes a little cache file for every frame it calculates. So it's really handy so you can stop and resume your sims. Or even make an adjustment to your settings in the middle of a sim. Okay, so it's doing it, the ball is rolling a bit, but what is happening?
Looks like it's tugging the ball.
Yeah, you see the little divots in the cloth?
Yeah.
Popping around.
It's interacting with the holes in the ball.
Exactly. That's the problem. Okay, so little holes in your geometry will make Cyflex spaz out. And it's interesting because when I was trying to do this earlier and it wasn't giving me any problems, it's because the ball was much larger. And so I realized it was a scale issue too. So they need to be the right size. Let's say belly button sized. That's where I noticed it happening most of the time. There we go. Now we can see it playing in real time because it's all cached. So, yeah, this kind of a situation with the belly buttons, I've also seen it sometimes happen with the spaces between fingers. I've seen it happen with the rib cage, like trying to drape cloth around a rib cage model where you got those little fine holes in it. So this is what you got to do. I can barely see this. I can't even read it. Okay, so there's the ball called Ball Holy. There's another object here I had hidden. I should have made it a separate color. Maybe I should do that real quick. There, you can see the difference in color there. Actually, what I should do is go into the perspective mode here. So you can see exactly what I'm doing. So these things are like little belly buttons. They were modeled to be emulating the belly button issue. So I brought this in, and you can see it kind of just fills that hole up. There's no longer a hole. It's like there's a little speed bump there, but it's not a hole that goes underneath, you know, like a belly button where you can stick your finger in it. You can't do that now. And then the only thing to do now is go into cloth. Well, two things. I gotta clear my cache. And we're going to add that new collision model. And we'll choose Holy Ball Filler. All right, and let's go back to the camera view and run the sim again. No, got a little bit. What's that?
Why are you pinning the edges? The cloth.
Just to hold the cloth in place. I didn't want to slip off the edge of the ball while it was rotating. But as you can see, it's tremendously improved.
And one edge,
Sorry?
Can you select a certain edge to unpin? How would you unpin an edge? See the way you've got 4 corners selected? How would you unselect an edge?
Yeah, they're 4 separate instances of nails.
So Lightwave Guru mentions that the collision detection range is low, or the calculation accuracy is too low.
The collision precision is 0.0006. That's pretty high.
So Lightwave Guru, do you agree? All right, so Lightwave Guru says, your ball has more vertices at some places so far. You have to change the collision method or vertices on surface.
I believe he's saying that the polygon density is not evenly spread out through the ball, and that's true. Where the belly buttons are, there are more polygons than the smooth areas. But I mean, if you got characters, sometimes you need more details in different places.
Right.
And so basically, what I'm saying is, if you're getting weird issues with little holes in your geometry, you got to spackle those in, and just for the sim. And then when you're done with the sim, you can delete them or make them so they don't render.
Okay.
It's basically correcting stuff with a proxy object. That's what the purpose of this is to show.
Yeah.
And so it's if you want to have that interaction with those pieces, then that's great. We'll more than likely do so by default, and you can dial in that where you want it. But if you want to get rid of it, it's actually harder to do by just fiddling with settings. It's easier to do by just banging your proxy object in there and go.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
let me show you one other issue that I have noticed.
So,
let's...
just to mention, Lightwave Guru made a comment that you will have to that you're going to have the same problem in Motion Designer if you don't know what you're doing in there. Now, Steve W 1971, would that happen to be Steve Werner? Was Steve W be Steve Warner? Oh, Steve White. Okay, wrong one. All right. Whatever happened to Steve Werner?
He's floating around. Just probably didn't get the notification, which is unfortunate. We'll have to do a little bit more, advanced promo.
Yeah, that's all right. This is the first time, so we have just about 40 people on our first time presentation. That's pretty damn good.
I've applied well, it's not an actual ZBrush displacement map, but I'm kind of emulating it. You can see there are pieces that are pushing out, there are pieces that are pushing in. And so I have noticed at times, and I didn't test this to run the simulation with it, but it will probably give me some issues. But I just wanted to show you what you can do is because I have noticed when using ZBrush displacement maps, and you got like little cracks and crevices as a result of your displacement, that can also futz with the cloth sim as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the alpha image through a gradient. And so right now there's no change because it's basically going from -1 to 0 to +1. But if I change this -1 to a -0.3, is there a dot there? I can't see.
Yeah, that's -0.3. That's
oh,
correct.
that's the range. I'm sorry. Negative. I gotta change the value, not the range here. Okay, so yeah, so I want this to be like that. Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is I'm shallowing the depth of the displacement that pushes inward. Not the stuff that pushes out, because that's going to be fine, but the stuff that pushes in, I'm decreasing that just for the simulation. And then I'll run the simulation, then I'll put it back where it was, or I'll remove this gradient. And so it's basically the same thing as sticking a proxy model in there, except you don't have to. If you got a displacement map, you can just shallow out those valleys by running it through a curve or a gradient. Does anybody have questions about that? How that works?
Yeah, you might definitely want to cover that, because remember, a lot of people, maybe people here who are not, who may be Maya people, but they're not LightWave people, so they'll be good. Give a nice simple explanation of this.
Okay.
Cover this.
Let me show you basically what I'm doing, and I'm not using an actual displacement map, so you have to bear with me. But I got two textures here, the flakes and the flakes. And what I'm doing is I'm running one of them through a gradient to make it a negative value. So that one's pushing in. So see that's that one right there, and I'm adding to that one that makes it push out. So I should have gone with the color.
So it's displacing it.
So one's pushing in, one's pushing out, which is basically emulating what's happening when you're using a displacement map from ZBrush. Except, I mean, this is a side topic, but when you bring an image from ZBrush, you have to subtract it by 0.5 to bring that mid-gray to black. Because in ZBrush, mid-gray is no displacement, and in LightWave, black is no displacement. So you have to take your ZBrush image and subtract it by 0.5 on the luminance, and that will bring the mid-gray to black. And then the stuff that goes into the negatives, you would run it through a gradient or a curve to shallow out those valleys. So right now I have this gradient that I'm running it through, and it says -1 here, +1 here, and this negative value is set to -100%, and the positive is set to 100%. So basically it's doing nothing. But if I change this value at -100% to be -30%, it makes it shallower. So you could like bring it down so it's like hardly anything. Run your simulation, and then if you were having any issues with the little valleys, then that would be a non-issue anymore. Does that clear things up?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Not unless somebody has questions here.
Lay it on me.
No questions yet, but I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I mentioned, like the spaces between fingers can sometimes cause that same problem. And what I've done is I've made webbed fingers, you know, like a modeled webbing to go between fingers so that it no longer causes the cloth to spaz out when the fingers go near cloth. You know, it's like it's Aquaman or something. Just temporarily.
There's a few other people, Steve, that want to present as well.
All right, let me go check real quick.
Yeah, I pretty much accomplished what I wanted to show.
This part is done.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. Let's bring it down. Okay, so, who would like to go next? Just shout it out here. Who's this?
I'm ready to go. This is Steve White.
Steve White, got it. All right, Steve White, come on, share your screen.
Okay. Let's see here. Share.
Don't be shy.
After a while, this will be second nature for everyone. The first couple of times maybe a little awkward, but perfect. We see everything perfectly.
Okay. So you can hear me okay?
Yep, perfectly fine. If you do me a big favor, Steve, if you go to your microphone Drop your microphone down and go to adjust your microphone volume and bring it up a little bit more, just so you get you a little louder.
Okay. Just a second here.
So you mean you don't hear him fine?
Well, I hear him fine. You know, it's just that it'd be nice if he's a little louder. That's all.
How's that?
Oliver causing trouble.
How's that?
A little bit more.
Steven?
Yep.
I'm posting the link to Cyflex in the presenter and the Twitch chat, just in case anybody
Okay,
wants
so
to look at it.
I've got to give you a pass for you to do that first, okay?
Oh, all right.
So-
It's cyflex.bic then.
It's what's your handle?
No, the link to buy the cloth simulator
no,
if you're
I'm gonna-
interested is
I'm going to
syflex.bic.
I'm going to let you do it, but I have to give you a pass first. So what's your handle? What's your Twitch handle? What's your Twitch handle?
His hand. Oh,
I have to pull up my password. Why don't you just type in
Here, wait, I'll type it in.
.bic?
Oh, I'm warned again. What the?
You have to let me know your pass is limited. Your pass is limited to only so many minutes. You have to ask me again. Bad boy. Okay, Steve, go ahead. We're just goofing around.
Okay. How are you doing?
Great. Full
give the
screen.
man the floor.
Okay. All right. How's everyone today?
Great. Great.
For some reason, I just kicked out my. Oh. Okay.
You got to share your screen.
Wait. Can you see my screen?
I did, and then you went away.
Okay.
So share it
just
again.
Kicked me off here. Just a second. Let me do this again.
There you go.
All right.
Oh, it kicked you off again. That's really odd.
It keeps kicking me off.
So then, what browser are you using?
Just using Chrome.
Chrome should work. There you go. You're there.
I'm banned again.
Hold on a minute. I'll get you back on there.
92 seconds.
Yeah, I see your screen fine, Steve.
Okay. All right. Let's see if it doesn't kick me off again. Okay. So, it's kicking me off again.
Oh, that's odd.
Bloody hell.
Try another browser. Try Firefox.
Yeah, guys, I think that might have been me.
Okay, you want to show something?
No, I pressed the button on my screen and it stopped sharing his.
Oh,
Oh.
damn, Dave.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right, go ahead. Try it again, Steve.
All right.
Oh,
Fuck's sake, Dave. You're good to go, HR.
All right, so Oliver, I gave you a permission already, so keep your eye on the chat there. And also, Carm, I'm going to give you permission right now.
The thing is, I'm banned for 592 more seconds, and it says you have been granted permission to post for 60 seconds.
that'll teach you.
Permission for the link? I actually posted that on Twitch.
You can't post to Twitch because I have to give you permission.
No, he put a dot. He spelled
Yeah,
out
I
dot.
put dot in parentheses.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, when he went a roundabout way. Sneaky. All right, so Carm, I'm gonna give you a pass too, Carm.
You ready, HR?
Yep. See you fine. See you
Give her,
perfectly.
Steve.
Let's go.
All right. So as long as we're ready and it's not going to kick me off again, let's do this. Okay.
No, I won't push that button this time.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Very shiny bike.
All right. So yeah, I talked to Oliver about doing a little bit of Substance, showing Substance Painter here. So I didn't really have any time to prepare anything, so we'll just run a demo object here. So let me open the sample up. We'll just do a demo sphere here. Just open this up, and let's see. And I'm just going to go ahead and let me get rid of the process effects here. And just go ahead and delete all the maps and everything that come on this. We'll just start from scratch.
Oops.
Okay. So, so normally So, in 2018 now, it's very easy to get your objects into LightWave. Um, so, working in Substance is a really great way to texture your objects. So, what you do, unfortunately, in Substance now, they kind of dropped support for the LWO support, object. But, you can still import OBJ or FBX, and you can just import those directly into, into Substance. You would just pop here to new, and here, actually, I'll just walk you through how you do that normally here. So we'll just pop here to new project. You'd come up here to the mesh here, and then you would select this from wherever you have that loaded. Select it, whether it be OpenView, DirectX, and if you had any of your maps already baked out, like if you baked, a map already out, like a normal map or something, you would load those in here. You could make, you could start your texture resolution here, like if you wanted to start at 2K or whatever. That doesn't really matter in Substance because, it's pretty much fluid. You can change your text resolution at any time. So I usually just started at 2K because, it's a pretty good working resolution. But I'll just go back and we'll just start with this.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah. Sorry, yes. Steph.
Yeah.
Can I set you a challenge?
Yeah.
Can I set you a challenge, mate?
Yeah.
I need a rubber. I need a rubber. I need a rubber material with a kind of leather effect.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that in a second.
Can you accomplish? Cool.
Yeah.
The other thing I just also, with the OD tool set, there is actually a tool that gets the object directly into Substance, and then there's also the free OD copy paste available that you can copy and paste into Substance directly as well.
Yeah. So, like with OD copy paste, you could say just take your object, like if you were in LightWave, you could just copy it right from there, jump over into Substance, paste the object right in, and you're ready to go. The only stipulation, like if you're taking an object into Substance, it just must have a UV map. So now that you have your object in here, the first thing you normally do when you take an object into Substance is you have to bake your maps. Now, if you're doing like a game object, a lot of times what you would be doing is you would be baking from a high resolution mesh down into a low resolution mesh. But for this object, we're just basically, we just have a single mesh here. So when we go to bake our textures, we're just going to just say, use a high mesh. So I'll just check that here. And so I'm going to need a normal map, world space normal. I don't need the ID map. We'll use an ambient occlusion, curvature, position, and I don't need the thickness. Thickness would be like if we were using like some sort of scattering kind of effects, but we weren't going to be doing that here. And again, I'm going to make it at a 2K resolution. And here, again, the max frontal distance, rear frontal distance, this is if, this has to do with the baking distance from baking from a high to low resolution mesh. This just has to do with the distance between the objects, for the baking kind of accuracy. But again, we're not going to be using that here. So, and pretty much here you can just use everything in it, and we'll just go ahead and bake these out. All of these maps here, this is where you're going to be getting, any of the kind of wearing effects and everything like that. All of those kind of wearing effects and all the special effects that you get with textures, they make use of all these maps. So when you get like wearing around the edges, that's where it makes use of like the curvature maps, things like that. Like the ambient occlusion, that's where you're going to get like dirt, kind of like in recessed areas of the object, things like that. That's what makes use of those maps. So, and it makes those makes use of those maps when it creates those texture effects. So we have our objects baked, and you can see those down here in our texture set settings here. So we have our normal map and our world space normal and inclusion and curvature position. So over here in our shelf, we have all of our different, basically our libraries, for our assets. So, we have our materials over here, we have our smart materials. So if we were looking for, say, rubber, like Steve was looking for, we could do a search for it. So we have plastic rubber, dry rubber, rubber tire, in here. So for like these smart materials, these are basically like, these already have like layered effects. So these are already like, have the layered effects on them. So like if I just go ahead and drag this on here, it's already going to give us some of those effects aren't on here or here, So if I go ahead and just throw this into the renderer now, and it'll just take a second for that to come up. And let me
That's looking good, mate.
Nice.
I need it to be more like a texture, but more like a, how we put like an alligator skin going across it. Do you understand? Heavier bump. Yeah, I need like a leather effect. It's like a leather effect rubber, and it's slightly worn. It's essentially the trim that goes around an arcade machine.
Very interesting.
Well, like that's
Can you just throw on a quick alpha map and then send it over to Oliver as quickly as you possibly can? Because I'm the director, I don't care about substance, I just want that file. Simple. There you go, stop, that's good. That's perfect, that'll do, mate.
Those are pretty.
Very pretty.
So this is Substance Source. So we have, as part of your subscription, you get all these kinds of materials. You get so many per month.
Steve, I don't care, mate. Just pick one. That's good. So I assume that automatically downloads straight in.
Yeah.
It's just like an asset. It's just like the Octane asset store. Well, the presets.
Yeah. Let me see here.
Watch, Steve. Speed up.
Jeez, this guy's really busting your balls.
Definitely, mate. We've got a deadline here, mate. That's looking good, mate. Right, send it to Oliver.
Really? You want me to send this to Oliver?
But it's just...
To me, you want it.
Yeah.
The substance painter looks wonderful.
Yeah. Oliver, you've got all the substance tools.
The substance importer right now that reads the SBS AR file, I can't show if that's what you're hinting to.
Yeah, but generally just Steve needs to export the maps, and you can just take them into PBR and LightWave.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't necessarily need OD tools.
Hey guys, what does PBR stand for? What's the abbreviation? What is it abbreviated for?
Principal something.
Physically based rendering.
Physical based, right?
Physical based renderer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it just shows you how quickly you can set up something in Substance. And that was 5 minutes and you get a texture straight away.
But it's more the thing that's cooler is actually the painting and stuff like that. I mean, dropping presets stuff is cool, but then also painting between the presets, that's where it's so powerful. Just the particle brushes itself are worth the software.
Yeah. So yeah, let me get rid of this ridiculous leather. So let's go back here. So anyway, so when you're actually working in Substance, so when we go to, so there's two different kinds of basically layers you can add. So we have a regular painting layer. So if we just add a painting layer, so we're actually now painting, on the object itself. And when you're painting on an object, when you're painting on a layer, you're actually painting with all of the different channels at once. So you're actually painting with, color, height, roughness, metal, and normal at the same time. So, if we, increase the height, you're actually, painting with height,
No, I've got a question. There was a feature that I saw in Substance Painter where it works like watercolor spreading out over the surface, and it gives you these wonderful, like etched in effects. How is that done here?
That's the particle brushes. So, like say we take the, organic spread here.
Nice. Nice. You can sit here and just watch this all day long.
Yeah. So, let's just remove this. So, like maybe more of a practical effect. So, like, let's take, let's just get rid of this layer. We'll just let's get rid of this layer here. We'll add a fill layer. Just change the color to a red. And then we'll add a clear on top of that. Actually, a paint layer. And let's see, we want to add a layer, paint layer. Let's see, black mask. Do a leaks heavy.
I have a question, Steve, or Oliver, if you can answer this. Just I don't want to distract you, but just a question. Hey, the strokes that you're doing, are those like saved as like vector moves, or are they all bitmap based? And once you do it, that's it. And like, say if you want to, you started your project, like say 2048 for the texture resolution, and you realize, oh wait, I need this to be 4K. Can you change? Does it upres it, or does it go back and look at the strokes that you made and then reapply the brush?
It probably goes and reapplies the brush, but the thing is, once you do the brush, it's definitely destructive. So it's not like in Photoshop with curve brush, not like in ZBrush with curve brushes, where you can change the type of the curve later on.
Oh, okay.
So with these, it's definitely once you paint, that's just an applied paint effect.
Wow.
Okay, so that
up-raising and down-raising works perfectly fine.
So not everything in here is non-destructive.
You're not screwing yourself like, oh geez, I have to switch my project there.
No.
Not totally. It's gonna go through that process, but it's smart enough to understand.
Yeah, I mean it's basically resampling it. I mean,
it's going back and reapplying whatever it did, and you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's like fusion in that manner. So that's awesome. Okay.
So,
nice.
Like say I just add this this rust material here, and let's say I just take it down to really low resolution, like that's 128. I mean, it's really terribly resolution. Now, if I just kick it back up to 496, I mean, you're getting.
Yeah, you definitely see the improvement there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's.
So do you also work in ZBrush?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you prefer one over the other?
Well, I don't paint in ZBrush. I mean, if that's your question.
So you model in ZBrush and you paint in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other good thing too is, but, to that end, like say, as far as, just adding detail, into things. I mean, I like to do a lot of game assets, so, just adding detail, into something is very, nice in, Substance Painter. Just adding, normal detail, Oops, I'm on a particle brush. Hold on a second, let me get back to my...
And just because of this question came up in another chat, when you paint in Painter, whatever the output is specific to that object you're painting on. It's not like you're going to take those maps and apply it to a different object. That wouldn't work, because they're specific to the UV map. For that to work, you have to use actually Substance Designer. That actually bakes out maps that you can apply to any object.
Who was the idea to ask that question?
You know.
No, that's awesome.
It's actually good. It's a very valid question. So.
Yeah, I was kind of confused. Like, what's the difference between Substance Painter or Substance Designer? Just looking at it originally, is what's the overall major?
I mean, in Designer, basically the most simple way to say it is, in Designer, you design the materials that you use to paint.
Right. Okay.
But everything you paint, I mean, you can see there on the right side, he has the UV map of the object. Everything you do is you paint. You take a substance, which is that was created in Designer, and you paint onto the UV map of an object.
Right.
So, it's specific to that particular object that's in the scene at the time.
So it's more, the direct comparison would be...
Designer will output texture maps, essentially. It will, square images or whatever format you want, that can be used, as base textures for other things.
It's like your paint mixing shop, basically?
It has nothing to do with paint, really.
Oh, I'm just thinking, this is what you're going to be using to apply as a material. I'm just using paint as
It's literally just Substance Designer just creates materials. That's all it does.
All those things at the bottom, the multicolored shapes down there, those are all procedural materials that you can create in the Designer program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you're just limited to what you have in what comes with Painter.
Well, what comes with Painter, or what is available via the Substance Source Library, which is thousands at this point.
So if you're a new user, do you really need both at the same time, or what's the best way to get into the product? Is it just to go straight to Painter, or do you need Substance Designer?
If you just want to paint, just get Painter. But if you actually want to design your substances, then I think both of them are incredibly useful. I mean, again, you could probably do a few of these sessions on just either one of them.
So, Rita Cote has made a comment that Substance Painter has a non-destructive workflow. Substance Designer features 4 graph types, tiling, textures, MDL materials, math functions, and noise editor. Edit complete texture sets instantly with the procedural node-based nonlinear workflow. Want to change something while you're working? Make changes to any previous step while keeping your current work intact. So actually, no, let's see, that description above is about Substance Designer. Gotcha.
That's
so
Designer, where you essentially design all your materials.
Right. So Designer, you have a non-destructive workflow, but Painter you do not. It's going to be a destructive process.
Correct.
I thought there were some situations in Painter that are also non-destructive.
I've never used it. I've been watching it. I've been using ZBrush mostly, but I have not used Substance Painter. I think I would like to get into this.
The thing is, if you use alphas or things like that, you could at any point in time replace the alphas.
Okay.
So it's not, but the actual painting part of it is destructive.
Makes sense. It's so much of pretty much any app that's out there that does something similar. We can 3D code similar.
Okay, so Probiner, I think, is just joined in. I'm going to give you a presenter status. Now we're almost done. I mean, who else would like to share? Is anybody else would like to share?
I think Dave has something.
Who does?
3
To mix them to something else.
All right, so Oliver, say that again. Everybody jumped in and talking, and I couldn't hear it.
Dave has something.
Okay, so what's his handle?
Creative.
Creative? Okay, cool. All right, so Creative. So let's do this. Dave will be the last one. Let's see. Maybe. Well, Dave, you want to share something? Matter of fact, if Steve would stop sharing his screen and go to your Adobe Connect interface and click stop sharing screen, and then Dave will share something, and then we'll probably end it with Probiner.
Yeah, I can share something.
Yeah, go ahead and start sharing your screen. Yeah.
Dave is first.
Who's first?
Dave, because he's been waiting in the lodges forever.
But that was Dave I was talking to, right? That was Dave I was
talking to.
talking
I've been here a while.
This is Dave, right? Oh, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and show. We'll do one more.
Okay, you see my screen?
Yep, I see your screen.
Am I coming through loud enough?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to touch a bit more on what Oliver was showing earlier on about, and Steve, when they downloaded an FBX from Mixamo and put it into LightWave. I've got a setup where I can take several FBXs and mix them together to make one continuous sequence out of, I've downloaded 3 at the moment, so let me just run through. So I've got a character that's rigged in LightWave using the Genoma rig, and this particular one has got weight maps applied, so she's all ready to go.
You might want to explain what Genoma is, because some people may not know.
Okay. Sure. So Genoma is, let me just show you actually. It's a rigging-based system that was introduced in LightWave a little while back, and you have several presets. And if I can remember where the damn thing is every time, you've got things like biped rigs. So that's quadruped. So you've got human biped rigs. Rather complicated. I don't use them myself because I use a motion capture rig. But what I've done is I've customized the motion capture rig that comes with Genoma, and these are all set up with the correct bone names that Motion Builder, which is another program I'm going to show you in a second, likes, because the naming convention is correct. So basically all I did was I loaded this rig up, which I'll just show you, put it in another layer. So what you do is what I did rather, is I take that rig, and that is essentially a LightWave object, so I can save that out and then load it back into one of my objects, which I've done here. Sort of. Oh, that screwed it up. Yeah. Let me just not save that. Load it back up again. Yeah. So basically, I've customized it for a T-posed character, and then just made it all so that it fits the character. Now this is pretty much a Mixamo character,
okay,
which I've then had to put in my own weight maps. So she's got a full set of weight maps. Well, not a full set, she hasn't got the fingers in, but they're all done. Anyway, so basically we bring that into layout, and then what we do there is a simple process. Is we export an FBX, and I've already done this, so we'll export it out as setup, which we might as well do it again. So just export that out, and then wait for the cursor to change, and then if I go into the FBX now, which is saved out of layout, this will take me into Motion Builder. So we've got a girl, she's got the the lightwave bones, and then if I just bring this over, because the bone names are correct and is what Motion Builder is expecting, if I just drag the character onto one of those bones and hit characterize and ignore all, that will now recognize all the bones and enable me to build a control rig. Now this is a IKFK control rig, so it will do things like pull the whole body around, there's different rotations and so on, and if I go into things like the character here, modifiers, floor contacts, I can actually get feet and fingers to interact with the floor, which is quite handy. So those fingers will bend, let's turn that off so you can see it better. So those fingers will bend and do the thing, and even something like the foot, if I rotate that round and drop back down again, those toes will interact with the floor and that foot won't go through the floor, which is quite handy.
It's a heck of a lot better than IK Booster.
It's quicker, I find. I've tried IK Booster and it's you can't do what I'm about to show you with IK Booster. Well, not that well. So let me just close that out. I've already got one that I've characterized and set up. So let me just load that back up again.
Well, yeah.
It's too bad Ryan wasn't able to join us this afternoon.
Yeah, he definitely could have compared the two.
Yeah, I mean,
so what we're doing, but
not what you're showing now yet.
Oh yeah, no, what I'm about to show you is why I use Motion Builder. So what I've done is as I say, I've downloaded 3 FBX files which came from Mixamo, much the same as Steve and Oliver were showing earlier on. And so we've got a little run animation. I'm running out of real estate here. Let's just so we've got a simple run animation. So the character does a run, and then next to that I'm going to drop in when it gets to it. So this next action is she's been hit from the side and rolls over. And let's just zoom right out here so we can get a bit more in. So she runs, she gets hit from the side, falls over, and ends up on the back side. And then the final motion I've got is her getting up from that action. Now, as you can tell, they don't all line up. They pretty much start on the orientation of each one. So what we can do is, if I can make myself some space so we can see all this. Don't need that anymore. No. So I'm just going to expand that out, drop that down. So what we can do is we take that first motion and we say, right, that motion there, what foot does she end on? And she ends on her left foot, but this next action starts on the right. So all I need to do is just pull that back to roughly the same place that the next action is going to start on, and then just simply, like a video editor, just pull that back. So the next clip, again like a video editor, will start on the same foot, but as you can see, she jumps. So I need to start there, grab a foot. Let's have.
I have a question. Was the motion capture taken from Adobe's site, or is this custom, your own?
This is these are 3 clips that I downloaded from Mixamo.
Okay. So that it is from Adobe. So what we're looking at?
Yes.
So what we're looking at are the actual motion that came through Mixamo.
Indeed. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So we end up on her right foot. That starts on her right foot. Now I'm going to match that one using the control rig item that I've selected here. So this is her right foot, and what that will do is it will add that motion to the end of this one. Oh, sorry, I'll add this motion to the end of that one. And then again, like a video editor, we can just simply overlap those, and then over those few frames they'll blend together.
Nice.
Okay,
So
Nice.
then she'll fall. It's like anybody that uses Adobe Premiere is kind of
Yes.
like cutting frames.
It's,
So
it's,
Dave,
it's a non
director,
it's
I
a
don't care. Hurry up, get up.
it's essentially a non-linear editor for motion capture files. So finally she'll fall over, end up there. That's in a similar position to this one, but again it's not in the same place. So for this one, because you see it on the back side, I'll select that node, go to match, go to the previous clip, bop, and then again we'll just overlap that, and there we have one continuous sequence where she gets up again. And then to get that back into LightWave, well, that's even easier. We'll just take this action, we'll bake this to the skeletons, that turns off the control rig, and now our animation is fully on. Hang on, I've closed the window down. Story. I need to do my sequence end frames, move that out to about there. That changes the timeline down here, so I've got 251 frames, let's say, for entire action. Okay, so now that's baked to the bones, which are the, that's not showing, but yeah, so that's the LightWave bones that come with the character. So if I now save this out as an FBX, and I normally call these things like take or action or something like that, so I'll call that take. Now, one little caveat, you've got the base stack that comes with Motion Builder and take one that came from LightWave. I'm on base stack, so I don't need to export take one, because if I export two, LightWave will get confused on this next step. So I'll just save that. We'll go back to layout, and let's go 251 frames, and then it's simply a case of load items from scene. We'll take that take. Now, different from Oliver, I need to select bones, because I've used the Genoma rig and this is all LightWave orientated, so I use the bones there, and if it doesn't crash, we'll be okay. So last thing I need to do is select none, select the mesh name only, because all this is Motion Builder control rig and everything else, and I just need to select use the motion only envelopes, and it will use the existing character, add that animation to it, and then if I just zoom out, we now have that complete sequence, all three of them. Hang on, I missed a step, sorry. I only plotted the first one, so let's turn it back on. Alright, turn it back on. I need to plot to the current take first. My bad. Okay, now I need to plot that to skeletons. Save that back out to there. We'll overwrite that. Get rid of take one. And then reload items from scene. It's a little bit longer now because it's got a bit more keyframe data in it. Okay, select none, select the mesh name only, merge those in, and now we should have a complete animation sequence which we can render in VPR, and we've got all our actions on there. And then one thing I can do as well, which is quite handy, is I can go back to Motion Builder and I can change this. So say for instance, let's really screw this up. So that ends at 125. It will still work to some degree, but she'll get up a little bit quicker this time. Okay, so 125, let's replot that. And then we'll save that, and let's call this one the same, get rid of that, base stack, bosh. Now sometimes LightWave will crash if you do this, but if you're lucky, it will overwrite the scene. So I can go backwards and forwards if I don't like the take, or if it doesn't work with objects I've got in my scene, I need to retime it slightly. I can go back to Motion Builder, retime it, reanimate it, load that sequence back in, and now she'll get up almost immediately and stop at 125, I think that was, yeah.
And just a note about the load from scene crash, a lot of that should be fixed in 2018. You know, there was quite a bit of changes in the load from scene code.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen. It's very rare that it does, but you just simply go to revert to scene and then just load it back in again. As I say, it's got control rig data, so that FBX is quite big. So it does take a little while to get through these steps. Just merge that in, and simple as that, we've got our scene back. A little bit of drifting there because I didn't blend them properly, because I moved everything about just to show you how to re-edit those sequences. But there you go, you can take any sequence, you can chop and change them like a non-linear editor, and build up entire actions for your character just from basic actions from Mixamo or any other motion capture data source. And that's it, short and simple, short and quick.
All right, that's wonderful.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So I think we have one more before we
Dave.
Yes, Dave is next, right?
That was Dave. Oh, by the way, Steve, I'm 3-ative. It's like 3D and creative mashed together.
Got it. 3-ative. All right. Sorry.
That's the one. That's fine. That's fine. I'll stop sharing it.
I thought it was beta.
So it was what?
All right. So who's next? This one last one we're doing. So go on and start sharing your screen.
That's a question for Dave.
Yeah, go.
Does a motion designer do any kind of secondary animation?
Yes, you can actually. If I just share again. Yeah, so you're thinking like fingers and so on?
No, I meant like physics-based stuff, like the hair flapping around, or...
Oh yeah, it can do. You can add, say for instance, my character had a ponytail which was controlled by bones. I can add physics to those bones and plot them out in the same way. Just a quick note actually, if for instance, I even mentioned earlier on that sometimes you get penetration of your objects, like arms and stuff going through. Well, you can fix that. Once I plot this to, where's it gone? Yeah, plot to current scene, plot that back. That motion initially is on the control rig, and that control rig, as I've shown at the beginning, will enable me to move an object about. But at the moment that won't work because I'm on the base animation. If I want to, say, animate the head a little bit differently, obviously you can see all these keyframes now that are on that node. If I add another layer, those keyframes disappear. So I'm adding, it's a bit like adding an overlay video on top of my base video. So now I've got control of the head individually. So if I turn on auto key, hit the rotation, and then let's just, I keep forgetting my keyboard shortcut because I'm used to LightWave. So now I can say, right, so at this point here I want her to say, look over to her left. So if I do a 0 key there, sorry, a flat key, alright, what's going on? 0 key, oh, it might be...
Do you have the control rig active?
Yeah, control rig's on. That should have set a key there, what's going on? Oh, I know why. I've still got this running. That's still controlling it, so now I should be able to add a key there, so there we go. I'll turn that off because I only want to act on that body part. So she'll get to about there, and then at that point I want her to start looking over. So I'll do a 0 key, which basically, as it says, is 0, so it uses the base animation, but my next keyframe, let's say for a couple of frames. I want it to look round. Auto keys on, so that does that. And then let's have her looking in that direction for a little bit longer. Alright, she's starting to roll there, so...
I think those eyes are scary.
Yeah. I'll just do that, and then from there I'll do another 0 key. So that will take her back to that animation. So now I've got her running. And let's get rid of that. I've got her running, so now I'll look over. And then, because I moved everything earlier on, let me just reorientate that a bit better. And then I'll need to replot this to get it back. So she's now running. I screwed it all up. Oh, that's what that. I've moved too much. So let's rebake that. Okay, so we should be back. Oh, she's sliding now.
Dave.
I'm really good at this. Hang on, let me just try and fix this.
Silence. Are the characters weighted?
Well, while he's
Yes. They're weighted in LightWave. Motion Builder doesn't respect the weight mapping completely. It does a pretty good job, but I think that's a limitation with the FBX rather than the setup that I've got here. So let me just rematch these.
The one thing that really Motion Builder has above all the other apps is just its ability to deal with the shitload of keyframes. You know, you can have millions of keyframes and it just doesn't slow down.
What's the cost on Motion Builder?
I bought this. Yeah, I think it's a rent model now, but this is 2015, so I've had it a few years.
So what's the cost on it?
Sorry, go on.
What's the cost on Motion Builder?
I'd have to look that up. I don't know
Yeah.
what it's like now. Okay, so let me just replot this. I swapped these two over, that's why it wasn't working in my haste. Okay, so
per year.
So let's go back to here, let's redo that secondary animation. So from there we'll have a 0 key. Left that on again. We'll have a 0 key. We'll go to here, look round, continue looking to about there, so she holds, and then a couple of frames later.
And everybody, do me a favor and
So
follow
now
this
we've got
page.
the head movement, she'll look round,
Very nice.
look forward, fall over. And then again, just to go on what Oliver said about penetration, things like the hands, let's do another layer just to keep this nice and neat. So if there, a hand went through a fire, which is quite common because the motion capture file is set up for obviously the person wearing the suit, so that may not be the same shape as the person or the character you've got. So again, if I go,
It's highly.
sorry, Oliver, you went quiet there, say again.
I said it's highly unlikely that they would match actually.
Exactly, yeah. So say for instance that that frame there, that hand went through her thigh, so a little bit beforehand, where the animation is correct, I'd put in another 0 key, and then just afterwards I put in another 0 key there, and then at the point of penetration, all I can do is just simply pull that arm up, and it will remember that keyframe only for those, that section. So it'll put it out, and it'll go back in, and then back to where it was. So like the head, I can add a secondary layer of animation, and the same goes for the fingers as well. I can animate the fingers on a secondary layer, so if that wasn't making a perfect fist, or she needed to point, say, I could do that, and then simply once it's all done and you're happy with it, plot the skeletons, save that animation, put that back on take, overwrite that, get rid of the base, keep the base, sorry, take that out, LightWave, load items from scene, do the take, continue there, select none, select the mesh, select the merge, items only, and if we, let's select the head, focusing on that, so we can see it and it will track. We should now see a head turning, and whatever frame that was, I pulled her arm out. It's fairly close, I think it was there, wasn't it? You can see her arm now goes away, the head moves, she does the rest of the animation as she did previously. Yeah. Great fun.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so it's getting to be about that time, guys. With 30 minutes past when we're supposed to end. So I'm going to allow for one more very short one if someone has it. Does anybody want to do a very short one? Okay, so nobody. All right, cool. So I guess we'll go ahead and kind of stop this here. This has been wonderful. I think this has went well. We've had over 40 people attend on our first time ever. Our Lightwave Roundtable discussion. We're going to do this every Sunday at 10 a.m. So we're going to do this weekly. And then in addition, now do me a favor, everybody who's here, you have to follow this page. Follow this page so that you're notified about our meetings, okay? When we come on, you're going to be able to see us. I'm going to do another stream personally today where Jason Mandala and I have purchased a 3D printer, and we just got it in the box. It's like right behind me. You can't see it. So we're going to put it together, and we're going to stream that process. So we're going to do that this afternoon. But for now, everybody, thank you, Carm, ADP, thank you, 3 Adam, thank you, Daphne. Daphne didn't get a chance to show. Daphne did. Actually, Daphne has not said anything the entire time.
Let me actually, I'd like to say one more thing also, and that also, like Steph from LightWiki, he has a hangout usually every Wednesday, and then sometimes we do some on Friday. So just in terms of Lightwave community, things like that, there's plenty for you guys out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Make it flourish.
Thank you, Liberty3D, Kelly Cat. Thank you, LightWiki. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Phantom Shadow. Thank you, Probiner, for agreeing to come on and sharing your knowledge. This is great. I really enjoyed this. I hope everybody online enjoyed it as well. Let's see.
So I had one more thing to show, but it's way past that time. It was really quick, but it's just a performance thing in 2018 regarding the geometry engine. We'll cover that next week, but it's something that a lot of people just aren't aware of, and then they look at it and go, why am I getting a performance hit? And it's a really simple, goofy thing, and maybe Deuce can join us next week so we can talk to him about that. And it's one of those things where the more the developers are aware of these issues, because a lot of them are not able to, just because of their time and their schedule, not look at stuff in the same way we do as artists, even though they very much are interested in addressing these issues. They need to be made aware of it so that they can tackle it. And we've seen some great response to the things in the latest patches. We've had 2 patches literally within 90 days of Lightwave 2018's release, so they're being very responsive right now, which is a big, huge switch and very encouraging for anybody that's looking at software. There's been some question about whether or not Lightwave's even being developed anymore. Well, damn straight it is, and they're actually being really proactive about it. So maybe we get Deuce in and we can talk to him about some of this stuff concerning new performance improvements to the software, and just little tips and tricks on how to get some of that stuff to go faster. So maybe we do that next week or whatever.
And then Ernie Space mentions he would like to see shaders in Lightwave. I think people would like to see texturing, understanding nodes. Do a basic application of nodes. Maybe covering some of that. Texturing, modeling. I think people are really interested in modeling techniques as well. Sub-D surface modeling compared to hard surface modeling. Yeah, thank you all. Guys, thanks so much. This has been wonderful. We're going to do this. I'm going to keep doing this every week. So would love to have everybody back. And then share the Lightwave love out there and share about what we're doing here. Make sure that you follow this page so that you're going to be informed every time we come on board. That's really critical. And all right, and then just let us know what you want to see. So email me anytime that you want. I'll just go ahead and type in my email address real fast for those of you
really
that
quickly,
have it.
Origami Digital, OrigamiDigital.com. You can find all of his wonderful tools there. Liberty3D.com for training tutorials, and if you ever need some direct hands-on stuff, we're always available for that. If you run into an issue, never be afraid to reach out to users in the community. It's a very friendly spot. So if you're brand new to Lightwave, you just have general questions because you're coming back to Lightwave and you want to know what the big difference is between perhaps the version that you've been using, which may be incredibly long time ago, or even 2015 to 2018, because it is a big jump. By all means, ask. These questions get answered the best way if they get asked in the first place. So don't be shy.
So everybody's saying, thank you, Steve. This was great. Following, excellent, good. This is good. As long as I get a positive feedback
You
from
can
everybody.
helping everybody out with this stuff.
Yep. This is what the Lightwave community has been about. We've always been about one big family sharing our knowledge, and you don't see that with the Maya community or in any other packages. But Lightwave has always been this way. So,
and also, if anybody's got any questions about character animation, you can find me on facebook.com/creative. I'll be happy to help.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case,
.com/carm3d. I got some more tutorials up there you can look at.
Cool. Matter of fact, if you guys want to just send me all of your links to promote your website or your products, and then I'll just send it through the mailing list. In like the Lightwave user group mailing list, and that way everybody will get it. I'll do that as well.
If this is going to be an every week type thing, then give us a little bit more heads up for just getting out. Because everybody here pretty much has a subscriber list or followers on Twitter.
Yep.
That way we can hit it up and we can all start pushing those users.
So the way that works is I programmed all that information into Nightbots. If you notice, the Nightbot was coming up, putting in a bunch of information about me and my website and stuff like that. All that goes into Nightbot so that through the whole presentation, you or I don't have to type anything in. Nightbot does it for us. So everybody just send me all your stuff. Now we're going to be here every Sundays. That's kind of the rule. So send me all your stuff and I'll plug it into Nightbot.
Great.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, cool. That's it. So I'm going to do a little stream later on this afternoon, like I mentioned. But other than that, thank you so much for being here, everybody, and you have a great afternoon. I'll be in contact.
Take care.
It's been emotional.
All right,
Somebody's got a
man.
question. Wait.
And I recorded this too, so I'm going to get the recording up ASAP.